points. Only beat this team by 1 at FedEx Forum way back in December, but this Tiger team hadn't lost since January. Didn't play a lot in February, but didn't lose any of those times that it played. And tonight against South Florida, calling the action tonight for the Tigers, it will be Dave Woloshin, and Dave will be with us on our show today for this first segment, and then he's got to get busy with his Tigers duties. And, Dave, I look at the bracketology from around the country. I see a very crowded race for the Tigers, but we know what they can't afford to do tonight.
Can't lose. That is for sure, especially when you look, this is a net team of 193, so it's even
Yikes.
Though it's on the road, it's a quad 3 game, so they can't lose that. Also, you may be wondering why 9.5 for a team that they barely got by here. Well, I'm not sure how many players for USF are really going to play in this game. Their best player, Alexis Yetna, who a couple of years ago was the freshman player of the year, he's been plagued with injuries. The kid from France missed all of last year, Brett, and he came down with a bad twisted ankle in the game against Temple. So that's 2 games ago. He did not play in their loss to Houston. He is doubtful for tonight. Their other big guy, the 7-footer Michael Durr from Atlanta, who's a pretty good player. He had 10 rebounds and a block against the U of M with 6 points in the first game. He did not play in the last game. He's got sore knees, tendonitis in his knees. So they're missing so many pieces, and frankly, they're not the same team that Memphis faced back in December. That's how long ago it was, December 29th. They had a pause. They paused for 32 days, over a month. And before that, they were okay. I mean, they were 7-5. They averaged about 68 points, 39 rebounds. Since that pause, they've come back and they won 1 game. They've lost 5 of their last 6. They're averaging 61 points. They're shooting under 37% from the field. Their rebound production has dropped 5 rebounds a game to about 34 rebounds per game. Sir, they're just really not the same team, and that's why Memphis is a big favorite, even without ALO. This will be the second game. I don't think we'll see ALO until the American Athletic Conference tournament. And there is no news today. I really thought by now we would hear about a game for Thursday, and here we are, Tuesday evening, and still I've got nothing from anybody about possibly making up a game on either Thursday or Friday.
What is for Thursday, what's the very latest they could schedule that? Because you'd have to have some preparation. One of the things, and if and when we visit with Mike Oresco, and I think we will, and I won't do it to try to embarrass anyone or go in on him, but one of the biggest mysteries is allowing Houston to tack on that game against Western Kentucky that just didn't mean a thing.
Well, that, and why a whole week's worth of rest? I mean, they're basically they played this USF team and beat them by 40 points. They played them, and then now they're going to rest until they play Memphis. That's a whole week, and then you're not going to play again until next Thursday. What? Why? Why couldn't you make the Memphis?
Well, that's
game?
A real rust factor too.
Yeah, and easily you could have fit in a Thursday Sunday deal with plenty of rest
Easily.
for everybody, and it could have been a home and home, and it would have been a quad 1 opportunity for the University of Memphis, 2 quad 1s for Memphis, and I guess it would be 1 quad 1. Because they would come to Memphis, it would be a road game, and Memphis is 60, so that would easily be a quad 1 opportunity for them to keep them on a strong seed line. I don't know. I don't understand that. I don't understand why they just decided, because Houston's resume is not good enough. I mean, Wichita State's resume is not good enough right now to make the NCAA tournament. I guess they're in a couple of bracketologies as an 11 seed, but that net's going to go down playing at Temple and at Tulane. Why wouldn't you have tried to play SMU in that thing, since they've never played them, or tried to play a Memphis game if Houston had to be protected? None of this totally makes sense, and that's why I would love to have the commissioner on. Hopefully we'll get him either tomorrow or Thursday.
Oh, I look forward to it too. And again, it's not to. I just want to ask him what we've been asking and get some clarity on it. Dave, I think Wichita State right now, the selection committee doesn't meet until Sunday afternoon, the 14th, also the day that the time will change. That always adds a little spring in everybody's step. Hope springs eternal and spring springs eternal. I think Wichita State's pretty firmly in right now. I'm bewildered by it. I don't get it other than they have to have 68 teams on that bracket. At 4:30, Drew and I are going to go over a lot of the potentials because it's not complicated anymore. It's such a small window of remaining season, like, for instance, Virginia Common. Well, we know if it comes down a debate between Virginia Common and Memphis, no matter what Virginia Common does at the A-10 tournament, and unless Memphis wins the automatic, well, then the whole conversation's moot at that point. But if the Tigers got beat in the finals and Virginia Common lost in the first round of the A-10 tournament, they're at 17-6 right now. Well, we know who would get in, if nothing else, over that game way back when. The whole season matters. Well, that all they have left is the A-10 tournament. Seton Hall, they have 2 games left, tomorrow night against UConn and at St. John's this weekend. So, it's very limited what people have to do the rest of the year. At 4:30, we're going to go over that range of teams in all the first 4, next 4, the standby teams, the next 4 out, because there's still a lot of traffic between the Tigers and being anywhere remotely firmly in the bracket.
Well, there are always going to be exceptions. Let's say Memphis beats Houston twice, somehow lost in the tournament final to Wichita State or Tulsa or some crazy team that got there, and you had 2 quad one wins and you got to the championship game, and you make your case. When they played VCU, they didn't have what some people think is their best player in DeAndre Williams.
They beat him, though.
But they beat him without their key player, and those are some of the subjective tangents that are put into play here that you nor I really know what the committee will come up with. And they've done.
Well, I know what's fair.
Before.
I know what's fair, though. Between 2 teams that played, the one that beat them is a better team.
Well, but is that fair if the team's best player didn't play in that game because he wasn't eligible yet? Is that
COVID-19 in 2020-21? I mean, well, tough luck.
Well, maybe, but maybe not.
Boy, you something on maybe, aren't you?
That's COVID. You just called it. You said COVID-19. That's what maybe is, Brett. In 2021.
But you saw 2 teams play, Dave.
It's all about maybe. Yeah, I'm just saying to you, they have always used that criteria. If there's a player that didn't play, that goes into the mix. And that is a fair thing to bring up for the University of Memphis. Those first games, until the conference started against Tulsa on December the 21st, or rather the 16th against Tulane, DeAndre Williams didn't get to play.
Boy, he's some player then.
Well, Brett, he is the second leading scorer. He is the second leading rebounder. He is the second leading assist man. He has become clutch for them. He had 10 assists in the game. They don't beat Cincinnati this last road game without him in. I think he's pretty critical. You don't think he's a good player? You don't think he's the best player on this team at this point?
I don't know if he's the best player on the team, but I think he's very critical, and I think that speaks to how utterly average that team was without him.
Well, yeah, but he does help. There is no doubt about it. I mean,
and that's with 4- and 5-star signees that everybody in the sport wanted, and if they hadn't have got him kind of off the waiver wire, where would they be?
They would be in big trouble. And the same thing with Landers Nolly. One of those 4-star guys, Boogie Ellis, is just starting to play. And here's an interesting stat for you. They haven't lost since he became a starter again. But Boogie Ellis has started 7 games for the University of Memphis this year. They have won all 7 games that he has started. So I just hope he stays hot. He's got to pick up the slack where Alo left off. There's no question about that.
Would you agree or disagree that the Tigers' route to getting a bid is really threading the needle, or is that a maybe too?
No, I think it's a difficult road. You have to beat Houston probably twice. in order to make your case. And,
well, the second time would probably be in the conference finals, wouldn't it?
Well, it could be in the conference finals or it could be in the semifinals, because at this point, Wichita State's going to be 1, and Memphis is going to be probably 3 with Houston 2. So they would probably play in the semifinals. Unless Memphis beats them. And then they're still 2 and 3 unless somehow Wichita State loses, which, again, is another thing to ask the commissioner, how you allowed Wichita State to not play SMU, unless SMU cannot play at all. They are scheduled to play against Tulsa on Sunday. Now, in talking to folks from Tulsa today, they're being told it's probably not going to happen. So it looks like SMU is still going to be on pause all the way until the tournament. And I don't know what happens, Brett, if indeed they can't play in the tournament. You might end up saying,
then they're out.
Or you could just go, we're only going to play an 18 tournament and drop. You're down to 10. So
I mean, an 11-4 team has no standing. Sorry, it didn't work out for you this year. It's an unfortunate deal, but you're out of the mix. You're out of the first 4, the next 4, the next 44. You didn't complete your season. I'm sorry.
I think you would probably go to East Carolina. SMU is out. East Carolina, and you'd probably say to either Temple or Tulane, whoever finishes behind the other, that we love you, but not this year. You're out of the tournament. And make it
I want to see if SMU, if they can't go on Sunday, if they don't go on Sunday, and it's their decision, just too many cases to whatever, and then suddenly they have a miracle cure before they have to make the ride from Highland Park to Fort Worth, and they're able to go every single day of the tournament, because I referenced this last week. I will be very surprised if we don't have at least one of those standby teams having to be deployed and be used. Okay, if we don't have that, then I'll really be surprised if we get into the bracket and there's not at least one game where, and once the tournament starts, it's just going to be a forfeit, where somebody can't go. If we don't have at least one of those, then it tells me that this year, not always, but some of the time, this was manipulated to not play by some teams. How do we bat 1,000 once we get to playing for the tournament, but we couldn't do that all year in the Missouri Valley Conference, where they were able to play every team was able to play the full conference schedule? How can they, but then others couldn't?
Others ended up getting this is the second go-round for some of these SMU players, so they were obviously a little bit more careful. I don't even know if they tested as much as the Americans. So there's good fortune and bad fortune. Seems to me East Carolina and SMU really got affected a great deal, and apparently those Midwest teams in the Missouri Valley were very, very fortunate. I think this, Brett, I think if you get past the first week with those 4 teams, and they really and truly are in the bubble, and that's why they created this thing in Indy and the surrounding area, I think they'll get through without any issues. Because once they're there and they're testing, if you get past those first 4 teams that are on standby, in other words, everything is good, the next week should be really good and solid, because they're not going anywhere. They should all be in a bubble, unless kids become irresponsible and get out of it. And I would think coaches and NCAA officials aren't going to let that happen, but we'll see.
I think you're right about that. Once you kind of have your, self-fulfilling prophecy of the bubble, well, it will be tantamount to the NBA bubble. Mostly, it probably won't be as restrictive because it won't have the money that the NBA had for security and things like that. But all this trouble that we've had up to now, and then come conference tournament time and time to maybe punch a ticket to the NCAA tournament, I'm going to be dubious of a lot of miracle cures.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see for sure.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. They are at 2600 Ridgeway. They are the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis, and you can find them online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. They're ready for the time to change and the sun to shine and spring to be spring. They are offering the Golden Opportunity March Spring Sales Event. Great offers on the 2021 models. Always special lease options. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus, too. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design. That makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, for me, it's all that is happening around Memphis and the area today. Memphis takes on USF, as you know. The Grizzlies will take on the Wizards in Washington, chance to go over 500. In about 45 minutes or so, the Memphis baseball team, 4-0, takes on the Ole Miss Rebels, voted number 1 in the country last week. They're 5-2. In Oxford, it'll be Carson Stinnett, 2-0, against Drew McDaniel, who's 1-0. This will be a real chance to see if Memphis can truly compete with the best in the country. And then a little bit later on these same radio stations, you can hear the Ole Miss Rebels and the Kentucky Wildcats. Can the Rebels, once again, they seem to go from great wins to incredible slip-ups. Can they get another win? I mean, as you said so succinctly the other day, if you're ever going to beat Kentucky and Oxford, this is the year to do it.
Yeah, and I don't even think it would be a great win. I don't know why anybody would expect Ole Miss not to win tonight in front of an empty arena against a poor Kentucky team. Normally they would bring a lot of fans, maybe not as much for a Tuesday night game as a weekend game. I don't even know if they're Ole Miss's favorite. I don't even know if it's a great win. Yeah, they have on that Kentucky uniform, but that's about all they have this year. My top story, the Tigers later tonight in Tampa against USF. Tigers 1-1 at home in late December. Tonight, 9.5-point favorite against a team that's won 3 games since that 1-point game against Memphis. They've won over UCF, East Carolina, and Temple. No murderer's row there. Dreadful team in a dreadful league, and a win tonight is expected by the Tigers. By 1, I don't care about the point spread, but it would be a loss that we know what conversation that would spark.
Not top story of the day.
Well, actually, the numbers for the COVID-19 are pretty good at the moment. In Shelby County, 42 cases. That is it. Now, that's still 42, I get it. But considering where we came from and how we keep trending downward, that is outstanding. Again, no deaths again. That's 2 days in a row. There were 937 tests, 4.5% positivity rate. That keeps shrinking. It was 5.5% yesterday. That's going down all the time. We now have had 140,000 vaccines. That is 10.5% of the population of Shelby County that has now had at least one vaccination shot. The only negative to that is that the Shelby County still lags behind, about 2.25% behind the rest of the state. But bottom line is we're getting there.
Starting tomorrow in Mississippi, the governor, Tate Reeves, he just announced mask mandate eliminated. It will not be mandated. All businesses, full scale, open for business. Indoor sports, 50%. Still waiting on outdoor sports. So Ole Miss baseball starting tomorrow, and Mississippi State, Southern Miss, and everybody, in spring football games and all that could be unlimited potential unlimited attendance. Dave, you will be going to Texas next week, I think, for the American Athletic Conference Tournament. Texas wide open again today, and I think they will make it at least 50% for the American tournament next week. Well, they will allow it. The American could still limit it.
Yes.
But you're going to a state next week. It's going to be open for business, real life.
Wow, that'll be very different for me. That is for sure. I look forward to just getting out and going to an arena a little different than ours, because we haven't had a road trip yet this year. As far as the fans, and that'll be another question for the Commissioner, Mike Oresco, when we get him on in the next day or two. And that will be, they said they were limiting it to 25% capacity, maybe because of the new state mandate or dropping of the mandates that they had. They will increase the capacity, but I have not seen an announcement from the league as to that yet.
My night top story, Grizzlies in D.C. tonight to play Russ and the Wizards. The Wizards playing their best basketball in this stretch right now. They were really hit hard by COVID. This is one that's there for the taking for the Grizzlies. Biggest margin of victory in team history last time out. Sure don't expect that every time. And then Milwaukee next time out for the Grizzlies after tonight. But tonight is very winnable road game, and the Grizzlies are 8-5 on the road this year. And this one can be won, and then you will come out of the All-Star break at worst 500 if you win tonight, because that would put them one over, and then play Giannis and the Bucks on Thursday night, and then a long break before a brutal schedule for the Grizzlies to complete the NBA year.
You know what? If you get to 500, and you did that for the most part without Jaren Jackson all year and Justice Winslow almost all the year with the exception of 4 games, I think that's pretty darn good. Get over 500
it would
tonight,
be.
though. That's the key.
It would be. And then the cavalry kind of arrived, and you would have to get Jaren Jackson well for after the break, and then see if they can, make a little noise and get into the postseason. And as I said yesterday, maybe come postseason, it might be 50% at FedEx Forum attendance-wise.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, and one thing, I guess we should just be patient and let the Grizzlies figure out how they want to bring guys back. Because the Justice Winslow thing, knock on wood, so far they were patient. He was very, very grateful when you heard what he had to say about the patience they had with him and the confidence they're giving him. I'm assuming, don't know because they don't share that much with us, but I'm assuming they're doing the same thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. Limited practice, gradually getting more and more. When he comes back, limited minutes, gradually getting more and more. That seems to be working for Winslow. Let's hope that works starting in the second half for Jaren Jackson Jr.
Dave, you'll be back with us tomorrow, but you've got a game tonight, Tigers in South Florida. You're not there, but the game being played in Tampa, you'll be calling all the action, and we'll visit with you tomorrow.
Looking forward to it. Thank you much.
Have a good one. Dave Woloshin back with us tomorrow. Tonight, Tigers in South Florida, where the Tigers are heavily favored. At the bottom of this hour, we will talk a lot of Grizzlies and NBA. We do that with Ron Tillery each and every week. He joins us at 3:30, about 4 o'clock. College basketball and college football conversation with our college analyst, Brent Beard, from down in Jacksonville. Brackets and stuff. We will go over a lot of the scenarios for the Tigers, and the scenarios are getting limited with the limited schedule remaining for the Tigers and for everyone else. There's just not a lot of games left to be played before conference tournament time. Everything with the proviso, if you win that conference tournament, obviously you get the automatic bid. 5 o'clock, we talk NFL with Bo Marchant. J.J. Watt is landed in Arizona. Will he win any more with the football Cardinals than he won in Houston? We will visit with Bo about that and all the league business as we approach the draft with Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com. At 5:30, it'll be all Tiger talk. Tigers tonight against Brian Gregory and the Bulls. Did you know, Drew Barrett, that Penny Hardaway only 2-2 in his 4 games against South Florida? If he goes over 500 tonight, fine. If he goes under 500 tonight, we know what the conversation will be tomorrow. It will be awful.
Yeah, it definitely will be, and it's one that we'll definitely dive into more, especially with the bubble talk, is that the needle, it's so small for the Tigers to fit in with the teams ahead of them. Lose today, there's just gone out the window. You could beat Houston 3 times and it still wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think a loss will happen tonight, but we know last year was really close down there, and last year at home against South Florida beat this Tiger team, but they are depleted, as Dave chronicled it. At 5:45, we wrap up the day with Taco Bell Crunch Time, and we are glad to welcome back Drew Barrett today, whom we have missed over the last week. We will talk about his absence. He's fine, as you can tell, and he's been fine if you didn't already know, but we'll talk more about that when we return. You're listening to Sports Time. Ron Tillery up next.
Get your fill of sports for lunch every weekday on Sports 56 Middays with Greg and Eli. The latest sports talk, sought after guests, your calls and texts, prize giveaways, and more every weekday from 10 to 1 on Sports 56.
The fun continues at Family Leisure with a brand new Factory Direct pool and patio sale. The new 2021 inventory is in. You got to get ready now and beat the rush. Become the first one to have your pool installed. They have spas in stock, and those are ready for installation right now, too. Complete your backyard with a new set of patio furniture, all state-of-the-art. Special financing available. Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road, where family and fun come together.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Taqueria Express number 6 has a new location, 6290 Winchester Road. Taqueria Express has tacos of all kinds, including chicken and sirloin, beef fajitas, shrimp fajitas, enchiladas with homemade tortillas, even chicken wings. And my favorite is the mango sauce, which goes great with a nice cold beer. You can dine in and take advantage of the full bar or get your order to go. Call ahead, 901-800-2737 to pick up or use the drive-thru. Ask how you can win a 2021 Nissan Versa. Taqueria Express.
Progressive presents an interview with your upstairs neighbor.
Hey, it's Rick from upstairs. Yeah, I take it seriously. When I play R&B at 1 in the morning, that's me saying, hey, I'm here for you. And I enjoy repetitive bass lines. I only use expired batteries in my smoke detectors. Nice, right? Yeah, upstairs neighbors help people forget their troubles. Give them something else to focus on. Ooh, want to see how high I can jump?
Progressive can't save you from your upstairs neighbor.
No, wait, let me try again.
But we can save you money when you bundle renters and auto insurance with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Action247.com is your Tennessee sportsbook for same-day pay. Action247.com. Local, legal. A sportsbook by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. Win a little or win a lot. Action247 has same-day pay. The other guys make you wait for your winnings. No more waiting with Action247 same-day pay. Visit us online at Action247.com. Local, legal. Action247. You got action.
Problem gambling? Call 1-800-889-9789.
I'm a big fan of Town Village, and there is always something to do year-round. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
Official release from the American Athletic Conference that they've announced changes to the final weekend of the regular season. USF will now travel to Wichita State on Saturday, March 6th, after the Shockers game with Temple that was also scheduled for March 6th. It was canceled due to a suspension of activities at Temple. The USF-Wichita State matchup is set for 1 p.m. The SMU-Tulsa game scheduled for March 7th has been canceled due to a suspension of activities at SMU. SMU will now enter, if they participate in the conference tournament, they will enter in the tournament at 11 wins, 4 losses. So nothing affecting Memphis has changed from the news from last week. Memphis at Houston still set 11 o'clock Sunday morning on CBS, and we know how big a game that is. It would have been easier, just makes sense, easier to beat them at FedEx Forum, but it might have more pop with the committee for at-large bid by defeating them there. But if you're going to defeat them, that's where it's going to have to be because that's where the game's being played. It will be played Sunday morning, 11 o'clock Memphis time on CBS. Later that day in the AAC, Cincinnati at East Carolina. So most of these schedule changes either aren't new news or don't really make a lot of big impact on Memphis. The AAC, they kind of huffed and puffed about scheduling on the fly and really never got a whole lot done. They were way too cautious in early February and late January with making up games. I mentioned the Missouri Valley Conference, able to play every team, play their full complement, play the schedule. Maybe not the schedule is printed in the preseason, but all of them play the same amount of conference games. Not many conferences can say that, big or small. A lot of things need to have the deep dive at the end of the year, just like in football, and I suggested it at the end of football. Maybe right now, random test everybody in the football building just to see I mean, I think we need to know this kind of information before the next time, and there will be a next time. It may be even come out of this time with one of these variants that we stay under really cautious measures. But line up everybody and test them just to see if with no extra precaution, if it tracks anywhere close to the numbers did with all the caution in the fall. It may be exorbitant. It may be a number that would really startle. It may not be. And that's why I think we should know. I think in college basketball, these teams that were fortunate enough, and I think a lot of it is fortune. I think a lot of it is just pure old-fashioned good luck. And in some cases, the other side of it, bad luck. We need to find out. We need to do that real investigation on what teams did, on what practices and protocols and safeguards that people were taking. If for no other reason, when we get back into a basketball season more impacted by this than football, just the old-fashioned rank-and-file flu and pneumonia season.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the numbers actually look like when we do take off the mask, when we do get back to some semblance of normalcy that we had over a year ago, dating back to February of 2020. And it's going to be interesting to really figure out what did some of these conferences that were, like you mentioned, at the Missouri Valley, able to play every single game that they had scheduled. All teams played the exact same amount of games. Why were they able to figure it out when the American couldn't? I mean, if you want to go back to the football season, why
South Carolina couldn't, or why Texas A&M couldn't?
I mean, it could honestly, like you said, just be dumb luck. They got lucky with the cases that they did have falling on the right day. Who knows if the outbreak would have happened in a facility, if it would have happened the day before or the day after, would have extremely messed everything up. It could be just dumb luck on timing.
I have not been tested, and the reason why I haven't been tested, I haven't felt bad. I haven't felt the need to go be tested. There's not a single time that I have felt feverish, cold and flu-y, runny nose, nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. With that said, I don't have any doubt that if I'd have been tested, and we're coming up next week on the anniversary day, if I'd been tested every single day of that time, I think at minimum a false negative or a false positive would have occurred. And I think a lot of people have probably had it and not known they've had it.
And honestly, since we're talking about COVID, I can go ahead and bring this up where I have been the last week or so. I've been in quarantine. I unfortunately tested positive for COVID-19, had zero symptoms, zero signs that I possibly could have it other than the fact that earlier in the month of February, someone very close to me had tested positive, had symptoms, so could have gotten it that way. But the only reason I even got tested is due to the fact of my new job and position at the University of Memphis, mandating that everybody get tested because of the outbreaks that had happened around a lot of the programs at the University of Memphis. So without the mandation of me getting tested, I would have been at work all 10 days. Throughout this whole thing, I would have never have known. Still have not lost a sense of taste, a sense of smell, have not had one single symptom through this whole process, which is very great. I'm very lucky that if I had to get the COVID-19 during global pandemic, I was one of the lucky ones that was asymptomatic, that felt fine, that never was worried that I would have to be hooked up to a ventilator or have to get some other type of treatment. The only thing as far as treatment went is, I decided, hey, it might be a good idea to actually start taking vitamins like everybody says it is. It might be good to start taking the vitamin C's and the B12s and the vitamin D's and all the other letters and numbers out there. So other than that's basically been the only treatment besides my Budweiser and Benchmark that I've been chugging down the last 10 days.
Well, that's an old-fashioned cure. But Dr. Brett checked on you every day, didn't he?
Yes, you did. I really appreciate you. Because, and honestly, the biggest thing that I was worried about as having COVID, and especially not being sick, is if I was sick, I would have had no problem laying on that couch for 10 days, doing nothing, staying inside. But the fact that I felt fine, that was the thing that I thought was going to drive me crazy, is that I have all this energy because, one, I'm not working 12 hours a day. I'm getting a lot more sleep. I'm able to eat more on a regular schedule. I had all this energy, and I thought it was going to eventually just drive me crazy. And luckily,
I bet, because you are very industrious,
yes.
Drew, and I say that with the utmost respect.
I appreciate that. And honestly, after about day 4, it kind of just felt routine. I ventured from my bedroom into our back room of the house where the big TV and our bar is. I checked emails, did as much work remotely as I possibly could with the University of Memphis, and sat there and watched movies. And I pay all this money every month for all these darn subscription streaming services, and I actually got my money's worth for once.
Well, that's good. But the best thing is I'm glad you're okay. Now, when you tested, you called me on Sunday morning. And that was right after you got your test results. Were you scared?
I was, actually. I mean, it is something that you don't want to hear, especially with all the numbers that Dave goes over every day and the statistics, and you don't want that. That's how you're remembered, on this earth, is just as another number from a global pandemic. I felt good. I still felt good, but I mean, there for about 10 minutes after getting the results, your brain starts running and everything, and you make up symptoms. I mean, my stomach started to hurt. I started to feel like I was breaking out in cold sweats. I began to cough a bit until I was able to wrap my mind around and be like, all right, you're making up all this. You're just getting in your head. Calm down. Go home. Stay away from everybody for 10 days, and you'll be fine. And after I got out of my own head, I felt perfectly fine. And so, but for a bit, I was a little scared for the first couple of days of every day I woke up, just making sure I can still breathe properly, I can still taste, I can still smell, just waiting on that one day that it might all go downhill. Luckily, like I said, I've made it through all 10 days and still feel great.
Never fever, never a runny nose, never anything.
No. Checked my fever every day just to be sure. Never a runny nose, no serious coughing issues,
Boy,
no
if we only
shortness
got
of breath.
the thermometer business about a year ago right now, just
for
really
sure.
gone long on the thermometer business.
Oh, yes, because I know for me personally, I did not own a thermometer until January. I think I saw one in the store, and I thought that might be come in handy just in case.
Yeah, and now I still don't have one, but so many people do it. Everywhere you go, you get tested. We're not going to be able to catch up with Ron Tillery, it looks like. I talked to Ron earlier. We're looking forward to having him on and wanted to get Ron's opinion on this. I caught it on Twitter. I didn't catch it in game, but it was some conversation that a comment that Brevin Knight is the excellent, and I mean excellent analyst on Memphis Grizzlies games, that he gave in a comparison on the very mild side about the personalities of a young Mike Conley as opposed to the young Ja Morant. They're very different players. It doesn't make either one of them better or worse than the other. And as best I can tell, is Ja Morant's mom responded and didn't like the comparison, and Brevin responded back to her, "Oh no, I would not." Brevin Knight wouldn't say a bad word about a Grizzlies player for any reason, and he sure wouldn't. One that's playing a position that he knows, respects, and played a long time in the NBA. And I was just a little surprised at that, but also understand, the love of a parent and wanting to support and defend their player, their child. Did you see all that interaction, Drew?
No, I actually didn't. So this is the first time I'm hearing of it. But for one, Brevin Knight would never say anything mean about any Grizzlies players or honestly anybody at all. We say it, we throw it around a lot. We say nicest guy in the business, but that really does actually describe a guy like Brevin Knight.
It really does, and he's great at what he does, and I think it was just I think it's simmered down, but how it was even a 5-minute story, I was surprised by, because that is the power and the impact of social media. When Mike Conley was a rookie or a second-year player with Memphis, while maybe in its early days it sure was not as paramount as it is now, it would have been rough stuff out there on Mike Conley.
Oh, it for sure would have. I mean,
it was at the end at times for him.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been treated a whole lot different if the roles were reversed.
And I just thought it was shouldn't even been any deal, and it wasn't that big a deal. But I would defend Brevin Knight as just one of the really, really sharp people out there, and I don't think. And he doesn't need me offering up apologies for him, and he handled it well, and I don't think it was any big deal. When we come back, we'll talk Tigers tonight, Tigers going forward, also SEC tonight, and around college basketball, unless I think unless there's a back of the pack conference winner, conference champion, I think most of the bracketing you're seeing out there for this one getting 9 and this one getting 7, this one getting 6, I think that is solidified. I think that's pretty concrete going forward. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Sports Time.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Make your next grill your last with Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic will not rust, but will provide the best radiant heat, keeping your food crisp on the outside and juicy on the inside. Step your flavor up with 100% natural lumpwood charcoal. Never have to add charcoal or wood during a cook again, and save money by reusing Big Green Egg lumpwood charcoal. Enjoy the versatility of keeping cook temperatures below 200 or above 700 for searing, and anywhere in between with ease. The Big Green Egg is ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes. Just ask Big Green Egg users how great the food is. Satisfaction has been our recipe for success since 1974, and our customers are our biggest testament. Come taste the difference with Big Green Egg and make your next grill your last. Available at East Memphis Ace at the corner of South White Station Road and Quince Road.
Now with Taco Bell's app, you can build a box filled with your favorites for just $5. Personally, I go with the Chalupa.
What? You mean Crunch Wrap Supreme, plus that beefy 5-layer burrito and...
Perhaps you meant bean burrito, grilled with chips and nacho cheese sauce.
Nah, you got a vibe with cinnamon twists and a Baja Blast.
Eat like you with Taco Bell's $5 Build Your Own Cravings box, exclusively online or with the Taco Bell app. Must make selections from predetermined menu items at limited participating U.S. locations for a limited time online or in the Taco Bell app only. Contact store for prices and participation which vary. Drinks exclude freezes, tax extra.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkham for Sunrise Chevy. You know Sunrise has the best selection, price, and has financing for everyone, but did you know you can bring your vehicle to Sunrise's award-winning, state-of-the-art certified service department no matter where you bought it? Maintenance, engine, transmission, brakes, or tires, bring it to Sunrise. Need body work? Tell your insurance agent you want to bring it to Sunrise. We work on all makes and models from minor body to major collision. We've got you covered at Sunrise. Sales, service, body shop, and parts all under one roof. Schedule an appointment at sunrisememphis.com. 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Find new roads.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Voloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
In a lot of spots last night, thank you, Drew, in a lot of spots last night around college basketball, the out-of-town scoreboard for the teams on the proverbial bubble, and it's immense and it's soft, and it's got a lot of holes in the bubble this year. But last night it worked well. Richmond with a killer loss. St. Bonaventure with a loss, but they're still firmly ensconced in a lot of brackets. Tonight, Indiana plays. I don't know what they got to do to get completely knocked off the boat. I'm sorry, Indiana. Yeah, Indiana plays tonight at Michigan State. I don't know what they have to do to get completely knocked off. But last night, if you were looking at some softer spots in the bubble, there they were for the Tigers. We know it starts tonight for the Tigers against South Florida, a team that they're favored over and that they should handle quite easily, and I think they will. Again, I'm not worried about the point spread, but I am worried about just winning the game. The Ole Miss-Memphis baseball game has now been delayed to a 5 o'clock start because it conflicts. It is now delayed to a 5 o'clock start, and because it conflicts with basketball games, we will not be able to carry it here. We're very sorry. It was the weather. It wasn't us. But it's now delayed to 5 o'clock, and with that conflict with basketball, we won't be able to carry it. But Tigers and Rebels now starting first pitch at 5. Be awfully cold out there at softball or baseball tonight.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, I was checking
take a big coat.
The
take
forecast
a Liberty Bowl coat
for the next couple of weekends with my position with softball. How well I'm going to have to dress, but luckily I will be in the press box. But you're back to the Tiger basketball and what they've really got to do to get into the tournament. And honestly, Brett, I have more questions today than I did on Saturday, or it's 5 minutes before the Cincinnati game, because
I love that. I don't, because it seems simpler to me now. Of course, win.
Of course, win. But the thing of the matter is, Dave brought it up in the first segment. Without DeAndre Williams, you don't beat Cincinnati. That's not a good statement to make. That is the worst Cincinnati team I have ever seen on a basketball court in my entire lifetime. Well, that is a bad basketball team.
But he is getting that from the coaches that he is the best player. As I said, I could argue that he is. I contend that if he is your best player, you're not a very good team. And if he is your best player, how is he your best player? When every recruiting service known to humankind had this galaxy of 4 stars, only one 5-star, in fairness. Only one, but that's more than most people have in this league or in any other league. And that 5-star, Musa Cisse. And so if he is the best player, and I think those coaches are they know the team. They're not saying that just to make conversation with the radio guy. Yeah. And I mean, wrong time of year for all the smoke. And I think they're being sincere when they say he's the best player. Well, if he is, then one of two things occurred. The talent evaluation and the ranking by all those ranking services, it was off. It was off on Lester Quinones. We know it's been off on Boogie Ellis. We know it's been off on DJ Jeffries. So we know it's been off on Damian Baugh. I mean, we're still waiting on Damian Baugh, who looks great running out there. That looks like one of those
great in the uniform.
Classic wing players that can do it on both. So we know that was the case, or we think that's the case, right, with a lot of these players, which that's better than this one, because then the other option is all those services were right and player development's been poor.
And I mean, just looking at it from the outside, from an outside perspective, you'd have to think that it would be option 2 there, because how could every single recruiting service be that wrong? I know that the recruiting sites, they're not an exact science when it comes to a lot of the players, especially the at near the bottom of the barrel, your 2, your 3-star type of guys. But for all of these players to have been listed on every site as a top 100, a top 150 type of player, when you have more stars playing for your team than about 300 of the other 327 college basketball teams, it would have to be the latter. It'd have to be development, and it's not working out between player and coach.
That is an incredibly dose of really, really crummy luck that those recruiting services missed on DJ Jeffries, missed on Boogie Ellis, and missed on Damian Baugh. I think Lester Quinones is mostly played up to as advertised.
I don't know if you could realistically say any of them have lived up to expectation, but I think as far as consistency goes, Lester would be the kind of closest to living up to it, because I love what
those others have swung and missed.
They've swung and missed at this point. With Lester, you love what he brings to the table with intensity and the way he plays defense. But I was being sold that he was a knockdown shooter. I was being told that if he puts it up from beyond the arc, it's going in, and that hasn't been the case over the 2 years. He's had some really good games. He's had some Lester games, but consistent-wise from beyond the arc, what we were sold,
he
just hasn't come through.
For him. Yeah, there's been the Lester Quinones games that without him, it would be more losses. Now, whatever ranking service, analyst, basketball head, basketball aficionado that watched Musa Cisse play in high school and thought he was going to be one and done, you don't ever need to listen to them again.
No, I mean, he looks great on paper. I mean, statistically, coming out of Lausanne last year, statistic-wise, when you put up 30-plus points and you have 30 rebounds a game, that looks really, really great. But you also got to take in the fact of what kind of schools is he playing? I mean, what kind of competition is he going up against? If I was 6'10", I'd look pretty good against the average 5'11" to 6'3" post player that a lot of high school teams have.
He's got a long summer of a lot of work, intense, big man work. I don't know who they're going to dispatch to be his summertime best friend or worst enemy, because every time he looks up, that person needs to be with him on footwork, on drop steps, on high pick and roll, because right now he's freshman player of the week in the American. That's quite an accomplishment.
He's improving, but it's
all stick backs. It's no threat outside 3 feet from the bucket.
And they know that, and every team that the Tigers have played since North Dakota have known that
South Dakota,
or since South Dakota, sorry, that if he, it's one of them Dakotas, right?
It's one of those. It's up there.
It's something with the mountains and the presidents, right? There's something over there. But since he made his Tiger debut, and you've seen it the way the teams have really guarded him. If he gets the ball and he puts it on the floor, he's got 2 guys on him, and they're not going to let him do anything to turn around and get his body in front of the rim, because if he turns his back, he's done. He has no move to score with his back to the basket.
And it hurts. The season was not over coming home from South Dakota 1-2, but it was definitely marred. And for no other reason, now the one win, St. Mary's, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's
they're
not the St. Mary's of
tournament. It's not. And the 2 losses, well, one of them is prime jockeying for position for in the bubble with Virginia Common, and the other one has kind of played its way out of it, but still could have some kind of run maybe in the Conference USA tournament in Western Kentucky. It put the entire season playing way uphill coming home from South Dakota, and I think I said that at the time, that it wasn't over, but it has really been marred. 1 hour's over for us. We do know that. Hope it wasn't marred too badly. When we come back, we got hour number 2 starting. We will continue a lot of college basketball talk. Look, it's March Madness. What do you think we're going to be talking about? A lot of college basketball. We will get some football in, and we will do that next with Brent Beard on Sportstime.
When you think about Memphis-style hot wings, you better be thinking about Crumpy's Hot Wings, because they're made from the freshest ingredients and always deliver that mouth-watering taste that you expect from your hot wings. Now you can visit their new location at 420 South Germantown Parkway. You can also call them at 901-207-1273 and see for yourself why Crumpy's is simply the best. Ask for the Sports 56 Special, which is 20 pieces of whole wings, large fries, and 4 drinks at just $38 for your family or group gatherings. Crumpy's Hot Wings, simply the best.
Frontier Western Store in Olive Branch is ready for spring. Stop by the store today and you'll find a wide assortment of goods. There's tons of Carhartt jeans, shirts, caps, and beanies, as well as this year's brand new spring line. Also, have you checked out Frontier Women's Boutique lately? It's loaded with new styles and colors and current trends of tops, tunics, skirts, and dresses. New arrivals every day. Mini shirts are just $14.99, available small to 3X. While you're there, browse Frontier's world-famous boot showroom. Shop thousands of boots that are in stock, ready to try on and take home. Shop at a local store with excellent local service. With their extensive selection of dress and work boots, you're sure to find your next favorite pair. Frontier receives new styles and restocks daily from all the largest boot makers: Dan Post, Durango, Rocky, Harriet, and many more. Available in men's, women's, or children's. Outfit the entire family. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
One of the things I love about betting on basketball is I'm always finding new player props or game props that I like. And what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called a same game parlay bet, and you can only find them on FanDuel. The money line, point spread, first basket score, player points, score 10 points, 15 points, 20 points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 in site credit back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with same-game parlay insurance. You heard that right, every day. That's why we like to bet on FanDuel. Easy to use, easy to register, easy to deposit, and fast withdrawals. When you win, FanDuel, they pay you your winnings in as little as 24 hours. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today to try a same-game parlay and use promo code CASH at sign-up. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund, $25. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
It's time, Memphis. Tune into Fox Sports Southeast and watch your next-gen Grizzlies tonight at 6 p.m. when they take on the Washington Wizards, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Check out Grizzlies.com for more information.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
67129, 67129 to shoot us a text, or 360-8255 to do something really old-fashioned. Give us a phone call at 360-8255. And at the text line, texter says, I don't know if y'all covered this or not, but is anybody going to show up for a 16-team NIT quarantine schedule? I think it will be limited, Mr. Texter. I don't think many people care that much about the NIT in a good year. Without Googling it, somebody tell me who won it 2 years ago. Anybody got a shot at it? Anybody? Nobody knows.
Penn State?
Did they? I don't know.
They were in it or close to winning it a few years ago. I don't know. That'd be my best guess.
Hit the Google machine to see if
I will.
it was Penn State. Nobody cares. Nobody has cared. I mean, if your team's in it, you act like you care until you lose, and then after you lose, you know what you say? You go, tell you how crummy our year just was. We just got knocked out of the NIT. That's just the truth of it. It's been that way for going on 45 years now. The importance of it, once upon a time, like a lot of the bowl games. People want to crush the bowl games. That's what the NIT's become. The NIT's become the St. Pete Bowl. That's just what it is. Nobody really cares that much about it. If you go and win, you know what you're called. You're called number 69. You're the best team that didn't go to the NCAA tournament, and who really wants to be that? And then when you lose, you realize that you were just really average team in an average year. Joining us now,
real quick. I did hit the Google machine. I was 1 year off. Penn State won it in 18. Texas won it in 19. I was really close. I was 1 year off.
Texas, that proud tradition at Texas. They win all those NITs, don't they? Texas won an NIT in the late 70s too, didn't they? Do you have every team in
78? Yeah, I've
78.
Got them all.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say I said 45 years. That would be 44 years. That's about 43 years. That one kind of mattered to Texas. I'm okay, so I was wrong on 45 years. It hadn't mattered in 43. Something that matters every Tuesday afternoon is when Brent Beard is kind enough to join us and be a big part of our show from Jacksonville to talk college sports with us. ACC, AAC, SEC, madness is here, Brent. It's a great time of year, and we're going to get to have it this year.
Well, it is, and wish we would have been able to have it last year, but we will this year, obviously. In and around Indianapolis, really, look, if they played it in the middle of the desert and erected two scoreboards and goals, that will be fine. But yes, that's quite exciting as we head into the last week of the season for the SEC, and then next week the tournament in Nashville should be a lot of fun, and then we got the big one after that. So yeah, that. 3 or 4 or 5 weeks coming up for hoops that they're just unparalleled.
Brent, let's talk about two coaches in the SEC. I know they don't do divisions like in football, but I'm going to reference them. Two SEC West coaches. I know they don't do that, but you got Nate Oates at Alabama, and you got Eric Musselman at Arkansas. A lot of places could have hired those two coaches when Alabama and Arkansas hired those two coaches.
Well, and right now they're the top two teams in the league, and they have both proven their worth. It is kind of funny to see how they did it. Nate Oates did it by coming out of the gate in the SEC play, molten lava hot, and it's not that they've calmed down that much, but I think what you're seeing is Musselman's group started off slow. They got used to each other and picked up the pace. So, I saw a prediction just a moment ago on Twitter about the SEC tournament winner, that would be Arkansas. And right now, after Bama going to Fayetteville, I think that would be a pretty good prediction. But and it's also the situation, guys. It helps the SEC in so many ways. We talked a few years ago when Mike Slab was there and he got Mike Tranghese in to improve play in the SEC. I think that started the ball rolling. They started hiring better coaches, and the league right now is probably as healthy as it's been in a while.
It really is, Brent. And with the SEC tournament upon us and news coming out earlier today about the 20% capacity, no public tickets, all going to be through each individual SEC team is going to have their own allotment. Do you think that all 20% of those tickets will be sold? Will every team, sell their allotted amount of tickets? I mean, who's really going to want to come from College Station, Texas, to watch Texas A&M in the SEC tournament?
Even a question if they will come to the tournament.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I really wondered for a while, guys, if the league was going to have to investigate further what's going on at A&M. I mean, that's a club that, they went for a stretch where they didn't even play for about a month. So yes, but again, Drew, to answer your question, you've got a lot of these bottom feeder teams right now that's just not going to happen. And look, when you look at the records as far as the league is concerned, I mean, if Cooper's playing for Auburn, and I'm guessing he will, Sharif Cooper, he probably will tonight. But again, they couldn't go if they wanted to because they opted out. Vanderbilt, frankly, is Vanderbilt fans are going to be going. So I know I hope it's a good crowd. They deserve it, but they're not going to get a lot of help from the bottom of the league. No.
In the ACC, we'll go ACC and then we'll go AAC. In the ACC, it looks like Josh Pastner with a win tonight against Duke, and he is in the tournament. That's quite an accomplishment for Josh. I thought just a very average coach here, maybe in a little over his head in his first job. Probably should have been some training wheels before he hit Memphis. But if he gets Georgia Tech with a win tonight, I think he's in, Brent.
He may be. There's a real possibility that's going to happen. What an unusual league this year. We were in a situation last week to where you had three teams in the top 25, being Florida State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech, and no Duke, no North Carolina, no NC State. But I'll tell you this, Florida State has done an incredible amount in winning the conference a couple of years in a row. Leonard Hamilton just got a new contract. I'm telling you, Drew and Brett, I'm hoping when I am 72, like Leonard is, that my stomach's that flat, that I look that good, and I have that much money, right, guys?
Oh, don't we all?
And I want to sign a 5-year contract for anything at that point.
Hey, that's a really good point. But listen, the way he has done, would it surprise either one of you that at the end of that 5 years that Hamilton's still not coaching?
It would be great if he could win it this year, and along those themes, I'm sorry, Drew, and along those themes, it feels like this year could be we got a pool of first-timers. It could be Mark Few to finally get his first one. Mm-hmm. We mentioned Leonard Hamilton. Jawan Howard, very early in his tenure. Scott Drew at Baylor, the coach at Illinois, the coach at Iowa. Finally for Bob Huggins. Finally in a long, long time at Ohio State, Alabama, Houston. I just went through the top 9 teams in the country, according to the Associated Press, and if any one of those 9 win it, we've got a first-time winner.
We sure do.
Head coach.
Well, everybody looks at Gonzaga and Baylor. Are they going to be your eventual top 2? And they may be, but I mean this year is about as wide open as it can be. But the thing this Florida State team does, it's extremely deep, and they are very good defensively. They block a lot of shots. They would D you up at a moment's notice, and that they have just been relentless. So teams like that, guys, as we know, they go deep into tournaments, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. Brent, I want to go back real quick to the Georgia Tech Duke game that you and Brett were talking about a few minutes ago. And for the Duke Blue Devils and Coach K, right now they're still on a lot of people's first 4 outs right there on the bubble. If they lose tonight, is that the final nail in Duke?
I think it'd be easy to say that, but with the tournament coming up, I don't think I would ever count them out until they are out, Drew. So that's a really good question. It would certainly hurt them, there's no doubt. And obviously we've seen North Carolina beat Florida State and then turn right around and lose. But still, until that ACC tournament's done, we can take nothing for granted.
Brent, I talked about this a little yesterday. I don't want to be a broken record, but Rick Barnes really limping to the finish line at Tennessee, 6-6 in their last 12. They were out there at 10-1 at one point in the year and were a real pick to make a run. His successor at Texas, not doing that much better, off to a pretty good start, but it has settled in for Shaka Smart. How did that work out for both entities, Texas and Tennessee?
That's a great question. Tennessee right now is described as mediocre at 9-7, but they're 22 in the net, or certainly around there. But they are still a team that just really has struggled, and frankly have got a important game on Sunday. Florida goes to Tennessee in a game that, frankly, both those teams need. I think
and neither one of those teams have a true identity.
No.
And Brent, I think if you don't have an identity by March 2nd, you ain't getting one.
No, you're not. I would agree with that. And right now, I think you could certainly argue that Shaka has probably got the better end of the deal for this year. I mean, Barnes probably certainly over the last few, but yes, unless Tennessee really comes up and starts playing much better in the tournament, I'm not saying that they'll miss it. I'm just saying that they look right now as beatable as they have been in years, frankly.
Yeah, they really have, and it's just since, like Brett said, in the last 12, it's just been so much up and down for Tennessee. You know, going back to the Kansas win, they looked to be unstoppable, and then next game out, go back to the LSU loss a few weeks ago. Didn't look like resembled any single type of the same team. But Brent, I do want to ask you a football question because it has been widely reported about the SEC and their plans for full stadiums. Do you think that's the SEC being optimistic, or we really think we can pull it off by August?
I think it's probably a little bit of both. Greg Burney came out and said that this week that they were looking at Alabama to have a full stadium around 100,000. Now, it's one thing to say you're going to do that, but are people going to come en masse? Now, I think they probably will, and I think the thing we've got to look at is, now this is just March, or early March. What we're talking about 6 months from now, and hopefully between the vaccine, herd immunity, however you want to phrase that hoping, praying that we will be in much better shape. Now, with that said, if you're going to the game, will you probably still be required to wear a mask? Well, that may be. But look, I think right now that would probably be a small hindrance for people to have the opportunity to go and have full stadiums again. Because, again, guys, now that TV money is important, but they did not have that attendance money last year, Drew and Brett, like they wanted to. They're certainly going to try. I can't see not having that attendance money for 2 years in a row.
Here's another factor, and the college football love that I have for college football. I hope Greg Byrne, Ross Bjork last week made news when he said it. I think we're probably going to get the trickle effect every week of or two of another one. Here comes Scott Strickland. Here comes, Hunter Yurachek. Here comes Keith Carter. Here, all of them. I think it'll be one after another with that optimism. All right, that's my college. That's from the through the prism of being a college football lover. Here's the cynic. We got to sell some tickets. Yeah. We got to sell some skyboxes. Right. We got to sell some luxury seats. Yes. We got to sell some signage. And then if the medical officials tell us we can't, we're going to go to you. Now, that's an in-kind contribution again for this year, isn't it? Even though this will be 2 years in a row, you really can't come and sit in your seat. You're still going to let us keep that dough, aren't you?
Well, and that yes. And that's going to be the question a lot of ticket holders are saying, too. But I think what they're looking at is hoping, okay, if our athletic director and athletic department are optimistic, well, maybe that means I'm going to be too. But look, Brett's
and
right on with that.
I want to be optimistic.
That's the main motivation for this.
I want to be optimistic, but I also know that, and I said this at some point last year from June on, ticket buyers out there, I'm giving y'all some cheap, friendly advice. When that ticket rep calls you, you haggle with them. You deal with them. You go, look, last year I took one for the team. Yeah. Now this year I'm in Section D. Yep. I want you moving me over to Section B at the same price.
Sure, absolutely. And look, with these, this may be, Brett, could this be one of the first times in years where the ticket holder may have a little bit more leverage than they normally would?
And I mentioned the more exotic seating, and when I say this, I want people to know I've sat plenty of times in the end zone and was happy as a pig in slop to sit in it. I sat in Section 36 or 38 in the north end zone of War Memorial Stadium a lot of times, and I thought I was on the 50 and at the Super Bowl. So don't anybody misunderstand that I haven't sat there and that I'm too good to go back to sitting there. But I mentioned premium seating. I mentioned Skybox. How about this for that end zone ticket and those poor tickets in the stadium? After y'all sticking with us last year and you buying these tickets for this year that aren't the most desirable, you got $2 water and $3 Cokes and a $2.50 hot dog.
That's right. Well, listen, these ADs have got to know that they're at a crossroads with fans, because the problem is last year, Brett, Drew, fans found out that, you know what, we can enjoy this stadium and we can when we can, but we're also enjoying our recliner and under our air conditioning with our refrigerator about 5 feet away, and that wasn't too bad. So look, ADs and in your ticket sellers, Brett's right. They're going to have to come off their own wallet and realize that it's going to take them some time to get people back. And the last thing they need to do is make these guys unhappy and go through another couple of years. Because I can tell you, but Brett, all three of us know you've got, and I'm sure you've got callers to your show that they're thinking, look, if they continue to make this inconvenient for me, I was sitting home watching. I won't buy any more tickets again.
Yeah, there are people out there thinking that. Unfortunately, Brent, I'm the type of person I have to be there. If I'm in driving distance of a game, I've got to go. Hopefully there are more strong-willed people out there that can strong-arm these schools to bring these prices down. But unfortunately, I just don't have the will to do it. In the state of Florida where you're at, a lot of buzz around Gus Malzahn and UCF, especially with all the Auburn transfers coming in the last few days. What are the realistic expectations for Gus in year one with the new transfers? Is with every Power 5 transfer, is the expectation going up?
I think any time that you're dealing with Gus, the two or three main issues are going to be, can he develop a quarterback? And obviously, he's got a good one that's returning. Can you recruit better offensive linemen? His two main bugaboos at Auburn were that, for whatever reason, regardless of his reputation, he could not develop a quarterback, i.e. Bo Nix. The other thing about it was, he did not recruit offensive tackles, which meant
go hand in hand.
That's right, which meant they struggled on a regular basis on the offensive line. And guess who he won't have with him at UCF is Kevin Steele, the coordinator who coveted Gus's job. So, Drew, I think, frankly, those questions that he faced at Auburn, he's going to face the same thing with UCF. Now, Gabriel was going to be a good quarterback, as we mentioned, but beyond that, I still think that line of scrimmage is something he's got to do a better job on, a much better job than what he did when he was on the Plains.
Boy, Brent, there's always the palace intrigue at Auburn for as long, literally since the end of legendary coach Shug Jordan. Every coach down there had to battle. Well, Pat Dye really didn't, except for Pat Dye. Mm-hmm. Every other coach since Pat Dye has really had to battle someone on his staff really badly wanting his job and manipulating a lot of things to get it. Insert Bobby Petrino here. For that matter, Brother Oliver when he was there.
There's no question. And listen, the weeping and gnashing of teeth when Brother went from Alabama to Auburn was amazing.
A state in mourning.
Yeah. But listen, and you saw it with this year when some of the factions there wanted to hire they wanted Gus going and they wanted Kevin Steele in, and that hasn't disappeared. They won't the factions at Auburn. And we all know the names of that. That continues to be a problem. And I can tell you this, guys: the Urbans and the Sabans and these elite coaches who come in, and listen, Sarkisian is going to have the same thing at Texas. When you've got, whether it's Auburn or whoever it is, when you've got this infighting among your more influential alumni. That's a real problem. That's why it's still amazing to me. And Brett, you remember this when Saban came in? He had that
told
share
them all
of
to be
that
quiet.
at Alabama.
Yeah, he sure did. But he told them there was a new man in town. Brent, I know you're friends like me with Larry White that was at Alabama for years. And the very different times, and now no social media. And when the rumors got to Memphis about Brother Oliver leaving Bama for the Auburn staff, I called Larry in the sports information office at Alabama, and before he could even start talking, I said, "Larry, I'll shave my head if Brother Oliver leaves for Auburn." He said, "Well, you better get your clippers ready."
I can't tell you what the word traitor was mentioned and all that way.
And what was ridiculous about it is his first job out of playing at Alabama was as a young young assistant for Shug.
The thing that people really don't understand, and particularly as fans, is for a lot of these coaches, that's not an issue for them. They've got friends that coach for their bitter rival. They were their bitter rival. You look at Rodney Gardner, who has been. How many SEC teams has he been over the years.
Tracy Rocker. Tracy Rocker's been everywhere.
He has. Absolutely.
And everybody loves him everywhere. We say that on the day that it's Gene Stallings' 86th birthday. Yes. I know you, like us, we have a lot of regard for Coach Gene Stallings, and Ruth Ann owned the ranch outside of Paris in Novice, Texas, and he was some good man. He was the bridge between Coach Bryant and Coach Saban. Brent, have a great week. Enjoy the basketball, and I bet it'll be football news to talk about a week from today as well.
Absolutely. Can't wait, guys. Always enjoy it. Thanks much.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you. Brent Beard with us every week talking college football and college basketball. In the ACC, real feather in the cap for Josh Pastner. If he wins tonight against Duke, and if Duke is the crowning moment team, that's a real accomplishment for Josh, and early congratulations if he pulls it off tonight.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, while it didn't end very well here in Memphis during the Josh Pastner era, you still, it's been said. If it's been said once, it's been said a billion times. He's a really nice guy. You want to root for a really nice guy. So no ill will towards Josh Pastner, and that's a hard place to win at Georgia Tech.
Texter says, I'll gladly go back to a packed Death Valley and contribute again, but I won't wear a mask. Soon stay home. I don't know what that means, but I know what you're talking about. Death Valley, Baton Rouge style, Death Valley, Clemson style. Which one is it?
If I had to guess about our listening base, it's LSU.
Who's the real Death Valley now? Clemson or LSU?
It's always
They're
been
both pretty good.
They are, but to me, when I think of Death Valley, it's always under the lights at LSU.
I do too. And boy, last year when we were down there, it was a soggy Death Valley. It rained from Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right through the final game. That was a sloppy field down there that day for a high scoring game. But love going down there. I know you meant LSU. I know that. When we come back, we'll look at the various scenarios. One of them, it includes Josh Pastner and Georgia Tech and the Rambling Wreck tonight against Duke. Friday night, they turn right back around and play Friday at Wake Forest. Wouldn't it be the most Josh thing ever to beat Duke tonight and lose
it really would.
Friday? We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM and 96.1 FM.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
If ever there was a time for comfort food, this is it. And there's no comfort food like Sunrise on Jefferson. Fresh-made breakfast featuring Sunrise's signature homemade square biscuits or the huge selection of hot, fresh, and fast lunch items are all part of what has always made Sunrise the most comforting of comfort foods in Memphis. Of course, everything that can be done to keep you and the staff safe at Sunrise is a top priority. And you can always order ahead and get delicious Sunrise to go. At a time this confusing, it's good to know there's one thing you can count on: Sunrise.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
It is a rite of passage this time of year for Bubble Talk. I think Bubble Talk starts a little too soon. Our friend Mike DeCourcy will join us tomorrow at his appointed time at 5 o'clock, his regular scheduled time with us, and we love having him. He almost will fight you to start Bubble Talk really before about a week ago. He doesn't like it at all. He has to do it. His editors tell him to get it out, and he knows it's a conversation piece. But now we know it's front and center, and we know the Tigers, they're in the middle of it, or they're involved in Bubble Talk, and we have a lot of scenarios to go over. It all starts for all these teams with the most obvious: win ball games.
Exactly.
If you win, if you win, then and you're not in, okay. Well, we didn't do anything to cause it. If you lose, like Ole Miss did last Saturday to Vandy, and post game Kermit Davis said, "We're not in any Bubble Talk. That's over." Mm-hmm. That was an honest, tough assessment. Probably was true after the Mississippi State game, but it was signed, sealed, and delivered last Saturday. You know, and fans know. I do believe the Tigers are in Bubble Talk. How firmly, I don't want to get too hung up in that, but enough that we have a lot of scenarios at play, and I think it highlights the very, very, very thread the needle, really get lucky, and almost land that darn rover on Mars for the Tigers to make it. I mean, did you see the response at Mission Control when they landed?
I did see some of the videos, yeah.
I mean, first of all, imagine being man or woman, just one of those engineers that smart to work on a project, to even think about landing something on flipping Mars.
It is quite incredible to imagine that something that you can make, you can send to another planet that's far away as Mars. And I don't know, have you heard the audio from the Mars rover? Are you one of the
It's clearer than a cell phone conversation I had with you earlier today.
We are the first group of people on Earth to ever hear wind from the surface of Mars. I mean, just absolutely incredible.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
It actually is really cool. It's not. It doesn't sound that cool. You're like, it's wind, but it's wind from another planet.
Yeah, and I mean, like way out there.
It's pretty far.
I mean, we're not talking just the little around the bend moon.
No,
it's not a planet.
I mean, come on.
I know that.
Who cares about the moon anymore?
Yeah, moon. We did. What a 70s thing. We did the moon. We did the moon so many times we got tired of going to the moon.
Exactly. Nobody's
and not only can we hear the wind on it, we have a helicopter on it. We're going to set it. It's going to fly around up there and bring it. But amazing. So it feels a little bit like at the University of Memphis, maybe like some of those NASA engineers, if they can land this on the surface of Mars. But it's out there. I'm not trying to sell you something that dear listener, that you already don't know. It's going to take a lot of things to work right, like Seton Hall at 13-10. they are considered in the tournament right now.
Mm-hmm.
13-10, not that sporty. I don't know that the Big East is that good or not, but they have tomorrow night UConn and Saturday at St. John's. They easily could be swept by those two, so that would eliminate Seton Hall, wouldn't it? I think it would.
Yeah, no, it would eliminate them. The problem with whatever bracketology you're looking at right now, I'm looking at bracketwag.com, Shelby Mass's website, and the teams that are ahead of the Tigers, while their record might not reflect it, they have so much more room to move up because of the competition that they're playing. You talk about Seton Hall is one of the last four in Shelby Mass's bracketology. It's because St. John's is a bubble team as well. UConn is, I think, a tournament caliber team. Those two wins means a lot more than the wins against Tulane and Cincinnati for the Tigers. There's other than Houston, there's nobody else you can go through that really builds that type of resume that really goes, wow, okay, they got through them. All right, they're playing the best basketball at the right time.
Cincinnati sure wasn't it.
They're worst Cincinnati team I've ever seen on a basketball court.
But don't think for a second that if the Tigers had to go to New Jersey and play Seton Hall on Friday night, I think the Tigers could hang.
I think
the Tigers would be just fine against UConn. All right, but Seton Hall, we can see where they could eliminate themselves, don't we?
Yes, they could easily eliminate themselves.
Georgia Tech, 13-8 tonight against Duke, Friday against Wake Forest. If they win tonight and they win Friday, I think regardless of what they do in the ACC tournament, Georgia Tech's probably in. But you could see them for sure lose. I mean, it wouldn't shock you if they lost tonight to Duke.
Wouldn't it shock me if they lost to Wake Forest?
Wouldn't shock me either. So they could eliminate themselves. That's 2 down. Virginia Common, back to the top of the show at 3 o'clock. I think the tournament committee will go, didn't Virginia Common and Memphis play?
They did. Who won the game?
They did. And it would be fair. It would be fair enough for somebody to go, yeah, but Memphis didn't have their best player then. Well,
that's COVID-19 for you. I'm sorry. You know, we can't keep making these exceptions. If you make that argument for the University of Memphis, you got to make that argument for everybody. I mean, and Tigers aren't the only people in that situation.
And that's only if Common loses in the first round of the A-10 tournament. I think one win there, and they completely solidify being an at-large team. So Virginia Common's a problem, and the biggest problem goes back to November 27th, in my opinion. UConn, we just mentioned them playing Seton Hall. Well, somebody's going to win, so they're in pretty good shape. Let's say it's UConn because we've already eliminated Seton Hall, and then UConn plays Georgetown at home this weekend, and Georgetown's awful. It has not worked for Patrick Ewing.
No.
It's not going to work for Patrick Ewing. And Georgetown, like UNLV, like DePaul, like who else did we mention yesterday? It could just simply be over at Georgetown for them having basketball power. So UConn looks to be in pretty good shape.
Marquette in that group?
Not entirely. But could get there. Not as much as DePaul's the leader in Vegas, or the leader in the clubhouse of it's over, and I think they know it by this point. All right, then we go to the first 4 out, the standby teams. Michigan State tonight against Indiana, and Indiana's down in the next 4 out. Michigan State wins, it knocks out Indiana. Michigan State loses on Sunday to Michigan. They've got work to do at the Big Ten tournament, don't they?
They definitely do, but the thing is that they might actually be able to do it if they go on a stretch that they could play themselves into the tournament. I mean, they don't have to win the Big Ten because of how power loaded that is. But let's say, depending on how seeding works out, that they trip up a Ohio State, a Purdue, and Iowa early in the first day of the game, the first round. I mean, that puts them in right there, and that's just one win.
They got some chops left. Yeah, they got a lot more area to impress with their tournament than the Tigers do with that collection of largely nothing the first few days in Fort Worth. 13-10 Michigan State tonight against Indiana, Sunday against Michigan. Here's Duke, 11-9. We've got them winning tonight to scratch up Georgia Tech. If they do that, then Saturday at North Carolina, lose there, and then lose on the first day of the ACC tournament, and that would eliminate them, wouldn't it?
You would think, but at the same time, I've watched Duke. We've all have because it's Duke. They're going to still be on national spotlights on the ESPN ends. You would think that it'd be over with. We thought they were 100% dead in the water a month ago.
Gotta be.
They've won
12 and 11.
You would think, but it's Duke. It's the reason why Kansas was able to stay in the top 25 for as long as they did earlier this year. Now they did ultimately beat Baylor over the weekend. I mean, great job for them. Good win for them. But
all right,
back in December, they weren't a 25 team.
So there's 4 spots remaining. We have 3 out, 2 in. Virginia Common and UConn in. So there's only 2 more pathway for the Tigers. St. John's 14-10. They were another one yesterday. I mentioned that it was over, and they've never won it. DePaul's never won it either. But St. John's tomorrow night against Providence, Saturday against Villanova. Lose them both, they're out. Right?
Should be, yes.
Syracuse, big win last night. Looked good too in defeating North Carolina, able to hang on to defeat North Carolina. Tomorrow night against Clemson, they win. Against Clemson, they do just anything. 1 for sure, 2 in the ACC, they're in, right?
I'd say 2. I think they got to win 2 games in the ACC tournament.
All right, well, that's 3 in. There's 1 spot left. Now we're to the grouping where the Tigers are. Next 4 out. SMU, I don't. If they don't play, even if they play Sunday at Tulsa, I don't want to hear about a team playing 16 games. If they don't win the automatic bid,
they're out.
I'm sorry, they're out. So that's into SMU, and I don't think they'll do much when they come back. Indiana, lose tonight against Michigan State, lose first round of the Big Ten. Heck, they're under 500. They're out, right?
So there's a lot that goes with that name across the chest. Like I said with Duke, I don't see how Indiana is in the same boat, but they've got room to work. If it goes the other way than what we think it will between them and Michigan State tonight, then they're in. One. I think they. 1 win, they're probably in because of the Big Ten bias in college basketball that there's been this year.
I think it has been. I see that league is good. I don't see it as all those teams. So then it leaves Memphis and Stanford. Stanford tomorrow night at USC. That's really tough. USC's, I think, a team that could make noise in the big bracket. So that's how narrow it is. And that was being really favorable.
And that is saying that the Tigers win tonight, beat Houston on Sunday, and make noise in the conference tournament. I think
noise is getting to the finals.
Yes, they have to get to Sunday, while a lot of the teams ahead of them we just talked about, due to the competition that they will be playing, only have to win 1 or 2 games in their tournament. They don't have to get to Sunday.
And getting to the finals, ideally, SMU scratched up and the Tigers beating Wichita State again.
Yes. You would have to have that win over Wichita State. You'd have to have a win over an SMU, and you'd have to play it really close against Houston.
It is how narrow the path. I mean, the needle, the eye of the needle. The needle's small, but the eye's smaller. I mean, this one, it may not be able to be fit in, and and then the other scenario among on top of all this, out of the pack conference champion from one of the big leagues, Kentucky, then the SEC would get 7, not 6.
Yeah,
they're not. I don't think they're going to throw that 6 that's in now. I don't think they're going to throw anyone out. I think it would just be addition. Same for if you who's the back of the pack Big Ten. Nebraska's not going to do it.
Rutgers. I don't see that happening. But
Rutgers, they're in a lot of. They're in the bracket. Look at Shelby's bracket. He's got them in, which I'm shocked by.
I'm a little shocked by. I mean, yes, compared to years past, they're a better team, but. And that's the thing when it comes to bracketology and it comes to college basketball, because of the different levels of leagues, the different type of talent that one team may play that another team won't, it's very eye-testy with college basketball more than I think any other sport. And honestly, what night you happen to have been able to flip them on is kind of your impression of them. When I flipped on Rutgers, nothing really splashes a pan for me. But I'm sure there's other nights where they looked like a championship contending team because that's just college basketball.
And the sports interpretation for eye test is power conference.
Exactly. That's exactly
you
what
don't
it all
you don't
comes
ever
down to.
get Winthrop getting the pass on power or on eye test.
No.
Well, I mean, you watch Drake in the eye test. They never get that.
No.
They never get that subjectivity. It's all objectivity with them. And then with the bigger conferences, SEC included in football. I know that. I say that. I recognize that. Anybody that's ever talked to me knows I've said that. And they get that eye test pass, whereas Coastal Carolina, and then whatever they did in the bowl kind of hurt them, or BYU when they were rolling along before they lost to Coastal Carolina in football this year. They're not going to get that subjectivity. They're not going to get the eye test pass.
No, they're really not. And I know we're up against a break, but it just popped in my mind. I do have a quick little high hard one for you. For the Tigers, because we're talking about how small of a window. Good. How small of a window they really have to get in this tournament.
Me and Lance.
Which of these two losses, if you could take one of them back, Tigers would be in one of these last four ends? Is it one of the losses against Tulsa, or is it the road loss against SMU?
Road loss against SMU. That's a good question. Road loss against SMU, because I thought they played really well that night. Those two Tulsa losses the two Tulsa losses, the one at home by 7, Tulsa really handled them, and the one on the road, I thought Tulsa was just a little bit better, 1-1. Down the stretch of the SMU game, I thought the Tigers were better. I thought the Tigers in that 2 game that week, one on a Tuesday night, one on a Thursday. I know they split, but I thought Memphis was the better team, better material, and with Tim Jankovic out, I thought better coaching, better organized. I thought the loss at Moody was it. And if you again, like a lot of these teams, if you're not going to win at Tulsa and Moody this year, when are you?
Exactly. I mean, when you're 0 for the last 6 at Reynolds Arena, Reynolds Arena in Tulsa.
And your coach says you're just not built to win there.
How are you not built to win at Tulsa? I mean, that's never a good sign with nobody there, and it's not like Tulsa's really known for having that passionate of a crowd. Yeah, they get into it, but it's not like they're selling that place out night in and night out, year after year.
Not a soul there this year.
No.
Now,
how are you not built?
3 years, over the next 3 years, Tiger basketball better be built to win at Tulsa. When we come back, we close out this hour. It'll be some Grizzlies talk. Then at 5 o'clock, we talk NFL draft and NFL offseason with Bo Marchant from collegetopro.com. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio. We are Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1.
They've raised the bar again at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I like to say this is the new standard, the way car business should be done. And to prove it, out of 355 dealers in America that sell Genesis cars, the one in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch, was top 50 in the country, top 10 in the region, and number 2 in the district. And guess what? They want to be number 1. That means there are opportunities out there for you. It's the safest, and every new latest bit of technology that makes the experience of driving a car better, they've got it at Genesis of Olive Branch. If we start with the G70, the highest performing car I've ever owned, all the way to the G80 or the G90, the biggest of the sedans, you'll love everything about the car. If you would like to try the new SUV, the GV80, you call Vinny Gerard at 662-890-6684. He will bring it out to you.
February has been extended through March 31st. Hi, I'm John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your heating and air conditioning system this spring? Conway Services and Carrier have teamed up to make now the perfect time. March is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during these slow winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system before March 31st and get the gas furnace absolutely free. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat, plus 12 months interest free. See why I still call it February through March 31st? And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating and air conditioning system, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hey, I heard that you just got a new car.
Yes, I sure did, and I could not believe how simple it was.
Really? Tell me what happened.
I bought my car at Cars Inc. They are family owned, and the choices of cars were the best I've ever seen. They even said they could price match with anyone and help me with whatever financing I needed.
Wow, it does sound like they know what they are doing.
Their family has been in the car business for over 30 years, and they're excited about being in Memphis.
Where are they?
5095 Cummington Way, and their phone number is 901-623-7180.
Mount Moriah Auto Sales. What sets them apart? Great selection, quality, high-end to low-end cars, and low mileage. Mount Moriah Auto Sales is under new management. Ask for Emmett or Steven. Check out their great selection of cars or trucks. Choose from Dodges, Jeeps, Fords, GMCs, Infinitis, Porsches, Range Rovers, Lexus, Mercedes, BMWs, even Bentleys. Mount Moriah Auto Sales also has a great service department with 12 bays for everything from oil changes to alignment to new tires. Go to MountMoriahAutoSales.com. Pick out your like new car or truck today. Mount Moriah Auto Sales, right on the corner and right on the price.
Hi, everyone. Greg Aston for FanDuel. One of the things I love about betting on basketball is I'm always finding new player props or game props that I like. And what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called a same-game parlay bet, and you can only find them on FanDuel. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 in site credit back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with the same-game parlay insurance. You heard that right, every single day. And that's one of the reasons why I bet on FanDuel. Remember, all you have to do is opt in. You don't have to pay extra money for the same-game parlay insurance. What I like to do, especially with the Grizzlies, I like to look at the numbers with Jonas Valanciunas. Usually bet 15 points or over, 10 rebounds or over, parlay those two together with a Ja Morant 8 assists plus, and I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today to try a same-game parlay and use promo code GASMAN at sign-up. That's promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Drew Barrett co-hosting with me today. Dave back tomorrow after tonight's Tigers game against South Florida down in Tampa. Wide open Tampa, soon to be wide open Mississippi and Texas next week. All those places really loosening of restrictions. I think everybody should still be safe. We were talking in the break. I'm like everyone. I look forward to when we get back to our old lives. No mask, no social distancing, hearty handshake, sit down, have a good time. I'm ready for that. But I can see me wearing a mask to big indoor gatherings next winter because I think it has definitely helped me not having cold and flu stuff.
It really has. I think a lot of people will,
and I hadn't been around anybody.
Will do the same, going forward, even after the vaccine, just because we now all 100% realize that mask helps stop spread disease, and they help you from getting said diseases. So if you don't want to take your chances with the flu shot, but you don't want to get sick, wear the mask. I don't think that there'd be that stigma around it like it was before. I mean, before, you see somebody in a crowded area with the mask, it's almost like, oh, what did they have? Like it's one of those looking at them like, oh,
what's wrong
really
with it?
exactly they are really
you
sick.
thought,
what is going on? But now
yeah,
I think going forward
it'll
be they just don't want to get sick. You know, they got a big event coming up or something, and they don't want to take a chance getting the flu. That's I think the stigma around mask wearing that will happen going forward, so that it won't be a real eye turner and head turner when somebody walks by with a mask after we finally break through to the light side of this pandemic and get needles and shoulders and everything.
We will talk about Grizzlies, but at the end of the Brent Beard segment, we were talking about fans coming back and Greg Byrne, and the fans have to be treated well. Drew, I think out of this, especially if we have more limitations next fall, you're going to see much younger crowds at college football.
I think you are, just due to the fact of the health risks that some of the older fans may have going forward, especially in 2021. And honestly, for a lot of older people that I know, people around the ages of my parents, that they're starting to get to the place where, like Brent said, I kind of like my couch. It
throttles back a little bit.
I kind of like my couch. I kind of like having my refrigerator. Do I really want to go sit in traffic for 3 hours after a game?
You've done it.
Do I want to waste $400 to take my family of four to have a hot dog and a beer? I mean, you get to that age where it doesn't give you as much joy. You still love the team, but sitting on the couch is kind of just as good as it was sitting in the stadium.
And forever, the college football crowd, it was more the alumni.
Mm-hmm.
The college basketball crowd was more the students, much more younger. I think you will see a college football crowd that will tend to get younger coming out of this, just with everything that we talked about. The Grizzlies tonight, just released from Grizzlies PR. Taylor Jenkins has announced starting lineup of Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and Jonas Valanciunas. That's not a very big lineup except for one big JV.
No, it's not. But that's basketball nowadays. You know, you don't have to really worry about size matchups.
Wings and threes.
That's all it is.
And it's why I'm starting, and we'll see. Arkansas tips early tonight in college basketball. They tip against South Carolina at 5:30. Well, you know they can't afford anything, or that would crater a great seed that they've been working on. They're not a force inside. There aren't many college basketball teams that are really post-driven. It's a lot of wings. Iowa, Gonzaga. Loyola. Gonzaga too, but Loyola with Big Krautwig. Not a lot of those teams are built big. It's a lot of wings, a lot of runners, a lot of shooters, a lot of jumpers, and some defense. And kind of just described Alabama and Arkansas, the two best teams in the SEC this year.
Yeah, that's just where we are in basketball, to where you look at a guy like Luka Garza, somebody who has torn up college basketball, and all these draft experts are telling me that he's a second rounder or not draft
has no
pick
place in the
or
NBA.
Not a draft pick at all. Come on, that's a lot of talent up there at Iowa with Luka Garza. I
think so too.
Got to find a place.
National Player of the Year. 2 hours down. When we start hour number 3, we started on Tuesdays talking the NFL, the best offseason in all of sports, the best hot stove league in sports. It's the NFL. We talk that next with Bo Marchant.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight. shipped exclusively FedEx. When we put them in nice packaging, we don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Now with Taco Bell's app, you can build a box filled with your favorites for just $5. Personally, I go with the chalupa.
What? You mean Crunchwrap Supreme, plus that beefy 5-layer burrito?
Perhaps you meant bean burrito, grilled with chips and nacho cheese sauce.
Nah, you got a vibe with cinnamon twists and a Baja Blast.
Eat like you with Taco Bell's $5 build-your-own cravings box, exclusively online or with the Taco Bell app. Must make selections from predetermined menu items at limited participating U.S. locations for a limited time online or in the Taco Bell app only. Contact store for prices and participation which vary. Drinks exclude freezes, tax extra.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Of course, a lot of bracketology and a lot of college basketball talk. And here, of course, a lot of Grizzlies talk. Tomorrow at this time, as we do every Wednesday at 5 o'clock during college basketball season, we'll have Mike DeCourcy on with us from the Sporting News. And he does a bracketology for Fox College Basketball, where he is an analyst. And we'll have a really big role with them starting next week and into March Madness. And he still does not have a second team from the AAC. Joe Lenardi does. I don't think Jerry Palm does. Shelby Mass does. Shelby was first to start working the Tigers in there, and it's not because he's on with us in this market, I can assure you. But Mike DeCourcy will be with us tomorrow at this time. He still does not have a second AAC team. We will see if he does at this time tomorrow. So a little break from the basketball talk as we talk NFL in this spot on Tuesdays afternoon with our friend Bo Marchott from collegetopro.com. He's getting ready for the draft. Bo, I was driving around on Saturday morning, and I was listening to someone I know that you have a lot of regard for, Mel Kiper. Man, when he could break down the deep snapper at Fort Valley Union.
Yeah, I mean, Mel is the legend of legends. I remember when we were real young, we went to New York City for one of the drafts, and me and my buddies met Mel Kiper, and you would have thought we met Elvis Presley. I mean, it was draft day or draft time, and we're in New York City, and we meet Mel Kiper. And Brett, Drew, he was the nicest, most endearing guy. I mean, he was totally into talking about it. He wanted to listen as much as he wanted to talk, and I mean, growing up young and being that experience, it was fabulous, and he's continued to this day to kind of be the pioneer for basically an industry just built around the NFL draft and covering it.
He really has, and he does it with such a fun, sunny disposition. He knows more than all the rest of us put together, but he really never kind of lords over you about it. And one time, Bo, I don't know if you know the vernacular of stringers, but I was stringing a college football game one time, and I think it was for ESPN, and when it was right before it was my time to come on at whatever game I was doing the update for, a rarity, an oddity, a freak of nature, Mel didn't have that recall. He didn't have that retrieval like he does with that photographic memory of his, and he was trying to remember a punter from Tennessee whose nickname was Thunderfoot. And they end that discussion and they throw it to me, and I meant it jokingly. I meant it fun. I said, "Oh, come on, Mel, that was Herman Weaver at Tennessee." And he got the number from the producer and called me later and said, "Way to go, that a boy." He was really nice about it.
Yeah, he's fabulous. Like I said, I admire him. And my favorite memories of the draft, New York City, young, and, you see Mel Kiper, the draft legend guru, and not only do you meet him, because, like you say, sometimes the thing is, to meet some of the people you admire most, but he definitely lived up to the hype, and he made the experience a lot better than even what I could imagine.
All right, Drew, I want to ask this question because I brought it up last week, and my answer to that question, sadly, forlornly, disappointingly, is Jerry West. An idea of a guy I had on Mount Olympus. I mean, Jerry West, the logo, Zeke from Cabin Creek, those great Lakers teams, number 44. And then I got to know him here in Memphis, and, well, it was less than fulfilling. I no longer had that. Bo, who's yours from all the people you've encountered in sports, and you're a happy warrior? Has it been anybody that was that hero, mythic figure, and then you met him and you thought, ooh, that wasn't much?
Yeah, you know what? I actually have the opposite experiences. Because I really haven't had any bad experiences. I've been fortunate enough, but there's been people that I've always been hesitant to like for whatever reason, and Jerry Jones is one of them. I thought he was pompous and came across as arrogant, but once you meet Jerry Jones, you're like, I love you, and let's go have a beer, and you're my best friend. And
he's going to put you to bed when you drink beer with him.
Yeah, I think that would be the second scenario. But nonetheless, like Jerry Jones, Hines Ward was a guy that I was always kind of, but again, once you're around Hines Ward, he's always smiling.
See, I love both of them right out of the gate.
Yeah, so like two guys I was kind of off, but nobody really comes to mind. Mike Mitchell from the Steelers never liked me. It wasn't so much of me having hyped him. After the game, I'd be like, that was the greatest game by a safety I've ever seen. And in a roundabout way, he would want to say, I want to punch you. But, but you guys know that. You've been in locker rooms. You just jive with certain guys. You get a vibe with talking to different guys. And some guys you just get a connection to. Mike Wallace, former Steeler. He invited me to his house for Thanksgiving. Yeah,
great guy.
We always had fun. We always joked around. And, like I said, so it was always those bonds where some guys you're more talkative with, they'll reveal more. And some guys are more, closed-minded towards you, and they don't really want to talk with you. But they'll share that, indulge in with somebody else. But that's just sports, and that's just human nature.
Bo, I'm bold comment I'm getting ready to make. Other than Randy Moss, nobody ran the go route better than Mike Wallace. Just you run down the field as fast as you can and see if the quarterback can overthrow you.
Fair enough. Yeah, off the top of my head, nobody was better than Randy. But Mike Wallace did it pretty well, and fortunate enough, I was able to see it basically, during the stardom years with the Steelers. Watched him emerge. They call it the Young Money Crew, him, Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, and himself, and they merged as a really solid trio. And Hines Ward was still the icon receiver at the time, and then he retired, and those guys took the reins. But yeah, Mike Wallace was a burner. And we talk about Tyreek Hill, but they use Tyreek in different ways in Kansas City, but I'm sure they could do that with Tyreek. They just don't do it as much.
Yeah, they probably could. Back to the conversation you were having a second ago, a guy that I didn't personally met but really broke my heart when I found out who he really was, Lou Holtz. I loved Lou Holtz on ESPN growing up. Yeah. I thought he seemed to be one of the nicest guys.
I could have warned you about that one.
And you did. And you honestly, the day you told me that when I was an intern,
and I'm scared
it
to
broke
say anything
my heart.
ugly about Coach Holtz with his age.
It broke my heart.
I don't want the next breaking news, to be that mortality tables hit on Lou Holtz, but
it really broke my heart. But back to Mel Kiper and the draft, do you think that he might have gone a little far comparing Mac Jones to Tom Brady?
Well, they're just comparisons. And I think it's a good move. I think when we say he's not comparing him to, the next guy, I think he's just saying a guy maybe a little bit. He's still going to be a first. Yeah, he's still going to be a first-round pick, but he just has intangibles that he sees in Brady. And, when we compare those words, kind of like Baby Jordan, Harold Miner, when
they both wore number 10 in college, as far as I see it, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, Brady's, that's a whole nother animal. And like I said, I mean, I've read enough books now about Tom Brady, and, his time at Michigan was so trying, and he wanted to quit. He was about to leave, but he still, he thought about it, and he returned, and he continued to play, and he fought that adversity. He arrived in New England as a sixth-round pick behind Drew Bledsoe. And at the time, Drew Bledsoe was the highest-paid player in the National Football League. I mean, it wasn't like he was going to a team that was saying, hey, we're looking for a QB. But Belichick loved him. Belichick wanted to start Brady his rookie year, but he couldn't just because Kraft and Bledsoe were so close. And Bledsoe was arguably the top quarterback, the highest-paid quarterback. So Belichick couldn't go down the same road of what happened in Cleveland when he benched the beloved son, Bernie Kosar, and we saw what happened there. So there's so much in Brady's past. I think it'd be hard for any player to play with such a grudge that Brady has had. Like Mac Jones, I don't know the personal life of Mac Jones, but I think on a professional level, collegiate level, he not had any of the adversity that Tom Brady endured at Michigan, and then obviously being a sixth-round pick. Mac Jones went to Alabama, played in a couple national championships, and he's going to be a first-round quarterback. So completely different scenarios, but I think Kuiper was just kind of addressing just the grittiness, the intangibles to, play hurt, be focused, and those types of scenarios. Not so much 7 Super Bowls and all the accolades that Brady's accomplished.
Well, Bo, I mean, you really got to be careful when you compare guys. I mean, I don't want to name names or point fingers, but there was a guy on this radio station that said that Jared Goff was the next Joe Montana.
And I didn't quite say all that, but it got close enough to it.
It was Drew was going to say, right? I could have pressed pause and say, yeah.
I knew better that day. Well, it was that number 16 and how he would roll out and look for that kind of that secondary receiver. Oh, I got way ahead of myself on that, and that's why you have to be you have to be really careful with comparisons. But if I can compare Jared Goff to Joe Montana, my favorite announcer of all time, the great Jack Buck with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I'm listening to the game live. And, Bo, you'll remember him well from football and probably from baseball as well, too. But very well, Brian Jordan from football.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Buck. I'm driving down the road, and Jack Buck said it. Serious as he could be. Compared Brian Jordan to Willie Mays.
Wow.
Ooh. Yeah.
And that's Jack Buck. Wow.
And that's Jack Buck. I don't think Brian Jordan hit 200 after that.
I get caught up in it, too, especially draft time. You know what, though? I think you
Who's he remind you of? Yeah, we do get caught up in it.
Yeah, and I think you just want to give the listeners or the readers some sense of something that they, if you say that Mac Jones reminds you of, say, who's an average quarterback in the NFL? Just say if you said Mac Jones reminds you of Blaine Gabbert.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, and then he was a number 1 pick, but it immediately gives you a bad vibe about the guy. So you have to go high-end towards a guy that people are going to get excited about. Like I said, if you said Mitchell Trubisky, who was a number 1 pick, Blaine Gabbert, who was a number 1 pick, people are immediately like, well, they are not very good. Why would you like Mac Jones? But, again, I think if you take a guy who's having success, and even the Jared Goff, the idea where he was, where the Rams were at that point, it was easy to think, you know what? He might have a Montana-ish type career. I mean, they're going to the Super Bowl. They have a young team. They're very potent offensively. You're thinking,
thank you, Bo. You're being very kind, but it was a stupid comment.
But in the moment, all your listeners, I guarantee, when you said that,
they said it was stupid.
No,
we did, Bo. We really did.
They probably just didn't work the next day. They probably went to work and go, you know what? And they probably, felt good about it. Now, they probably get ridiculed now at work, but nonetheless.
That's unfortunately how it always works. They remember when we get things wrong, but not when we get them right.
Oh, yeah.
But other big news around the NFL this week, the J.J. Watt signing with the Cardinals. Health-wise with J.J. Watt, I mean, yes, he's a great guy, a great defensive lineman. But does he make
Josh Pastner?
Yes.
But every time J.J. Watt comes up, we got to talk about how nice he is.
Just a great guy. But does he make the Cardinals any more of a Super Bowl contender than they were yesterday?
I don't really think so. He's had 9 sacks in the last 2 years. 58 players in the National Football League had more sacks than J.J. Watt last year. He had 5. So 58 more players had more. I was looking at the numbers. His first 5 years, he did not miss a game. The last 5, he's missed 32, and we know it. He's been able to stay healthy. He did play 16 games this past year. He'll be 32 in a few weeks. I just think it was an overhyped move. I see where the Cardinals are coming from. They finished 8-8. They think, hey, you know what, we can turn the corner. But I just think at the end of the day, I think that was a high salary. And it's not so much J.J. Watt. We know he's towards the downswing of his career, but I think he would be best utilized, and I don't think any player wants to hear this, but I think he would be best utilized in situational positions where he's not on the field every single down, a la like he was with the Texans last year. And I just think he would be more effective, less used, but I don't think, when you're going to pay him that type of money, Arizona's not going to rest him, and they're going to have him in on every down. But not a lot of help on the other side. Zach Allen's kind of taken some time to develop. He really hasn't panned out yet. So, it's that 3-4 system. But at the end of the day, I think it was a little too much. But the only positive, and this is the one thing, I think it sends a good vibe around the Arizona franchise where you got Kyler Murray, you got Hopkins, and now J.J. Watt comes. And maybe you can attract other people to come to Arizona, make it the hot destination for potential free agents to say, hey, what are they doing in Arizona that, hey, I want to go play there too. So that was the one thing I looked as a franchise and benefit. I don't like the money they gave him. I don't think he's going to result in the plays that they're expecting. I think that's past his time now. But at the end of the day, it might attract some other players that could help them.
One thing I think that will really help Mac Jones, back to him, is it sounds like Carolina's really locked in on taking him, I think, in the 8th spot, somewhere closer to 10 than it is to 5 for Carolina. That would be a cozy media market for him, not far from his childhood home in Jacksonville, football country. It wouldn't be throwing him in a big media market, even something I think that would work to the detriment, even though I've had fun at its expense, but it worked to the detriment of Mitch Trubisky in Chicago, a kind of a soft landing spot for Mac Jones.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you're looking for a place sort of under the radar when you think of NFL franchises, I mean, Carolina is a soft landing spot. He's not going to New York. He's not going to Pittsburgh. He's not going to Chicago. These media gauntlets. It's a nice soft place. And, they're not rebuilding, but there's not a lot of hype. There's not a lot of expectation. If they take Mac Jones, they're not expected to, run away with the division and be in the Super Bowl next year. So it's a good thing. But, we're so far away. And, I don't know how pro days are going to, with Combine is going to be a little bit different in terms of how these guys shake out. But, I like Mac Jones. I thought it was a gritty performance in the national championship. The things that I fear, though, when you look at that Bama offense, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Devontae Smith, and Najee Harris. I mean, those guys are so potently gifted. It's just easy for a guy to do what he did. But I like the gritty performance that he showed. I thought that was the thing that I admired most. But at the end of the day, I don't have any problems with Mac Jones, but those high-profile offenses, look at Johnny Manziel. I mean, he had Christian Michael, second-round pick. He had Mike Evans, first-round pick. And then he had an offensive line that I think eventually had a bounty of 3 picks, and one of them was a number 1 draft pick on the offensive line. So those type of things can really help you hide some deficiencies. So my concern is that, but I love the grittiness of Mac Jones.
Bo, news in Memphis, and question would be about nationwide. Cameron Kinley from the Naval Academy, who's from Memphis, will be doing his pro day with the University of Memphis. Is that something that's going on around the country due to COVID? Is it something that's going to be more common this year?
The pro days?
Yeah, pro days.
More regional.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I haven't heard anything in terms of if there'll be more or less. I just know basically, you got to come in and take a COVID test before. I talked with Peyton Ramsey from Northwestern the other day, and he just left Tampa. He had a quarantine for a week, take the test, and basically, be prepared. But Felipe Franks, the quarterback, I know he's going to be getting set. I talked to him the other day, another week. But I don't know if there'll be more pro days or regionally. I think there might be. I guess there should do. I think there'll be a little bit more leniency in terms of getting kids in certain places because of COVID. So, Drew, yes, to answer your question, yeah, I think there will be more regional, not one specific place, but I think a little bit more leniency. Because pro days are such a tricky thing. If kids aren't from a big school, then it's hard. You got to be so many miles from a place, and you have to get the acceptance. You have to have a scout request seeing you. So, agents fight tooth and nail to try to get some smaller, lesser-known kids in these things. I don't know how much time we have, but real quick, I remember when Bowden was in Akron, they had the pro day, and he basically let the whole state of Ohio in for this pro day. Typical pro day, maybe you have 11 kids, and that's a high amount. 11's a high amount. Well, there was probably about 27 kids there. It was so packed that all the scouts actually had to run 2 pro days. So there was 2 things going on, 2 40s going on, 2 broad jumps, 2 weight. I mean, it was just a chaotic thing. And at the end of the day, Bowden, he said, I apologize to everybody. I'll never do that again. So just a funny story.
That is a good story. Bo Marchant, we love visiting with you. The countdown to free agency's on, the countdown to the draft's on, and the countdown to the season's on. Ready for schedule release. I think they're going to do it again this year after the draft like last year. It worked. Let's see where everybody gets drafted to and try to match up some of these bigger matchups. But we'll talk about it again next week with you. Thank you.
Yep, have a great week, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bo.
You got it. Bo Marchant with collegetopro.com on all things NFL. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road, 5704 Goodman Road. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. They know we live in a world today that time really matters, and that's why they want to keep it simple and have you enjoy the ultimate car experience, and you will, with the kind, courteous employees, the down-home environment, the laid-back atmosphere, the no high-pressure sales. They're going to care about your time, and you're going to have that ultimate car experience. You walk in, find the car you want, test drive a car or two, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in 45 minutes or less than an hour for sure at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto County and enjoy that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Go online, check out the referrals, and look at the beautiful cars at DeSoto Auto Sales. I can't remember the player they were talking about. Where's Baltimore drafted in the first round, Drew?
I want to say somewhere around 25, 26.
There was an Alabama player, maybe Najee Harris, but I don't know why they would need a running back. Anyway, there was an Alabama player they were talking about, and I chuckled when Mel said, "Well, they like so and so from Alabama." Since Ozzie Newsome's been with the Ravens, I know he's not making all the calls. He's not making any of the calls anymore. But they love drafting Bama players. Always have,
especially at the linebacker position. I mean, that's one thing that they have always.
Maybe it was a linebacker. Yeah.
They always love drafting Alabama linebackers, and I'm looking it up now just to see how close I was. 27. They'll be drafting 27 in the 2021 draft, but. You bring up Najee Harris. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is great. We are losing Mark Ingram. Released him, so
free agent.
Yeah, that was through free agency. But I mean, I'll take Najee Harris. I don't think if the Ravens drafted him at 27, I'd be upset.
We were talking about running the go. I'm telling you, Randy Moss just on that go. Try to overthrow him if you can. You can't. I don't care who you are. There's no safety that can run with him. That should hang at the football Louvre. Well, it hangs at the Hall of Fame.
It does.
He's in the Hall of Fame. That's a football Louvre, isn't it?
I think it's the closest thing that we possibly have to a football Louvre. But you're right. With Randy Moss, I mean, that speed and the stride that he had and the way he was able to separate himself from cornerbacks, it should be in the Louvre because it is a pure art.
It really was, and he that gifted. I don't know that when he would, with the Vikings, they had Chris Carter, they had the big offensive year, and had the tough game in the NFC Championship game. I don't know that I appreciated him as much as I should have. Then I loved him at Marshall, and one of the great stories in how easily that could have fallen through the cracks after it not working at Notre Dame, not working at FSU, his home state school, West Virginia, a little scared of him, and Marshall stepping up, and then he put in the work.
He really did. I mean, for Marshall to go out there and take the risk on him, and honestly, it's paid off. I think Randy Moss is the most famous Marshall football alumni there is. I mean, it's kind of like a TO at UTC. When you think of Chattanooga, you think of Terrell Owens. When you think of Marshall football, I think the first player that comes to mind is Randy Moss.
I think Tommy West signed TO at Chattanooga. I think he did, and I mean, if Alabama and Auburn could have that redo, I mean, he's right there, and I mean, he's from within the shadow of the stadium at Auburn practically, and just some of those big misses, but everybody knew about Randy Moss. That's a good point about T.O. Not as many people knew about Terrell Owens. Who do you think will be the number one pick in the NFL draft right now if you had to make the call?
Still got to be Trevor Lawrence, right? Yeah, I mean, you can't pass up on Sunshine from Clemson. I mean,
they don't trade out of that.
No, there's no way. I mean, I know Urban Meyer's a first-year coach, but those people that collect paychecks from the Jaguars, they're not that dumb.
Yeah, and they also know that he checks a lot of the merchandising boxes.
Oh, for sure.
There's going to be a lot of 16 sold. Did Gardner Minshew, does he have 16 now? Will he be back in? He won't keep it if Lawrence wants it. Speaking of numbers, did you see today where I knew of this name in NFL lore, but number 99 for the Cardinals will be worn by J.J. Watt. They are going to take it out of retired, out of the retired ceremony that Marshall Goldberg had. Fullback Marshall Goldberg wearing number 99, which shows that almost anybody can because nobody knows who Marshall Goldberg was.
No.
I know he did. I don't even think he played in St. Louis. I think that was Chicago Cardinals even. And I remember going to a game out there and I saw some of their ring of honor, and I saw Charlie Trippey from Georgia, who starred at Georgia in the 40s. Arizona was barely a state when Charlie Trippey was playing in NFL. I mean, those people don't know. They don't know who Marshall Goldberg is, and they didn't have to go ask anybody in the Goldbergs if they could have that number for J.J. Watt. They just did it.
They didn't have to, but apparently the granddaughter gave them the blessings. That's what I saw. That J.J. Watt said that he asked the family for their blessing, and she gave him their blessing, which was nice. Was nice of her. But Brett, let me explain something to you about retired jerseys. They don't matter, and the reason why. Did you know that there was an 83 on the University of Memphis roster this year? Isaac Bruce's old number? There's an 83.
I thought it was retired for Isaac Bruce.
I did too, but John Hassel wore it this year. Caught a touchdown in the bowl game wearing number 83. So retired jerseys don't matter.
No, I'm afraid they don't. But there are some. I mean, as long as he's alive, Elway's not going to let number 7 get issued.
No. Oh, goodness gracious, no. And that's more of an ego thing, I think, with John Elway.
Summertime radio topic of the retired jerseys. Which ones are really retired? We'll do that come summertime. But coming up next, we talk the Tigers in South Florida. We do that next on Sports Time.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
Grind City Brewing Company is taking care of beerness in Memphis. Grind City Brewing is the dream of a father and son duo to create a brand that delivers a high-quality, great-tasting, and easy-drinking craft beer. And they've done it. The brewery sits high above the city elevation in uptown Memphis with 15,000 square feet of beerness, including a 5,000 square foot tap room. Grind City Brewing is committed to all things Memphis, including the Tigers. They have created a malt liquor called Tiger Tail that is the official craft beer of the University of Memphis. Tiger Tail comes in 16-ounce six-packs and is not your typical malt liquor. Tiger Tail is crafted with a bold and smooth flavor has 7.5% alcohol, and its clean finish makes it incredibly easy drinking. Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing, taking care of beerness in Memphis.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended-release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's non-habit-forming with no next-day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night, so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
February has been extended through March 31st. Hi, I'm John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your heating and air conditioning system this spring? Conway Services and Carrier have teamed up to make now the perfect time. March is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during these slow winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system before March 31st and get the gas furnace absolutely free. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat, plus 12 months interest free. See why I still call it February through March 31st? And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating and air conditioning system, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
A lot tonight in Hoop City. Early Grizzlies, late Tigers. And one of the things I love about betting on basketball is always finding new player props or game props that I like. And what's so much fun about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine those props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called the Same Game Parlay Bet, and you can only find them at FanDuel. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 in site credit back each day if your parlay falls one leg shy with Same Game Parlay insurance. You heard that right. Every day. That's why we love to bet on FanDuel. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. Try Same Game Parlay and use promo code CASH at sign up. That is promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms do apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. You got the FanDuel app fired up tonight, Drew?
Oh, of course. I mean, especially with all the regional action, Tigers down in Tampa. I'll stay away from that one. I don't bet on the Tigers, but Nashville, we got some action on the ice. Preds hosting the Hurricanes. I might put something down on that one.
Tonight, huh? Jumping in,
Brett. I'm the foremost hockey expert of the South.
I know.
I kill it on the FanDuel.
I know you do. The hockey is your real area of expertise, right?
It really is. I mean, I grew up loving it, watching it, playing it. If it had a puck and a stick, I loved it. That was my thing.
Do you realize tonight, if it goes to how it's gone against South Florida, these teams have split the last 6 meetings in alternating fashion? Well, you know what that means then. phone lines melt tomorrow.
Yes,
at
of course.
WXBQ.
Sorry, I don't know why. For some reason, I was trying to do the altercation, the flip flop, and I was like, wait, does that mean that they won or lost? It went clear over my head. But yes, they do melt.
Tigers won last time out. I don't think that's the case tonight. But still, have to take care of business. It's not even a style point win. I don't know how much is really going into this darn net. I blasted the net yesterday with Colgate still way up there. And then that broad group of teams from about 45 to where the Tigers are, they could play in a series every day between now and the start of next year, and I don't think we would really sort things out.
I don't think we would either, and that's why when you're talking about the bubble talk that we had last hour, it's just so much up in the air because between every team that we mentioned, you cannot 100% say that Michigan State is better than Stanford. You can't 100% say Memphis is better than St. John's. You can't 100% say Indiana isn't better than Memphis. I mean, it's just so hard because of where college basketball is right now.
But the season started with that 1-2 in South Dakota, but the Tigers have played well. That's why I went to that SMU loss earlier when you asked me is the most dejected one you'd like to have back because they were really on a roll then, and I like to yield to the scoreboard. So that night SMU was better, but 2 nights before that in Memphis was better.
Yes, ultimately that's what the scoreboard tells us, and with that SMU game, I mean, just letting it slip through your fingers by getting down as badly as they did to start that game. I mean, that first half, you thought, whoa, this is not the same team I saw in Memphis, Tennessee 2 nights ago. That you saw absolute terrible play, almost on par.
Saw some chemistry issues, too, in some huddles.
Honestly, saw
the
the
type
type
of Sunday.
Exactly, some of the things that we saw on Sunday. And, I mean, goodness gracious, that final 2 minutes of that Cincinnati game, I mean, good God almighty.
We were texting,
yes.
And it was melting our text line.
It was.
And the WXBQ phone lines on Sunday afternoon. That was just a hideous down the stretch, but a win.
You're right. A win is a win.
And a long-awaited win at Cincinnati. So if we're going to get on them about the quote about Tulsa, got to give them credit about the win in Cincinnati. Can't be like that.
I guess, but and the thing, one statistic that I learned
hard today.
I am.
Sure you're over the COVID?
maybe I've got the fog brain and it's taken off my blue and gray blinders for the day. But when you are absolutely dead last in college basketball in unforced turnovers, that's not something to be proud of. That's not a list you want to be happy that you're number one.
Your tweet had more words in it, but we can't use those over FCC mandated.
No, we can't. we definitely cannot.
And it was true, but ended up scratching out a win, so give credit there. Now on to South Florida tonight. And then, as I said last week, in a litany of crummy decisions the U of M has suffered historically, and I'm with that. As I said yesterday, I'm with everybody on that, I think, legitimate charge of almost 50 years of it. I mentioned several weeks ago, mentioned it again yesterday, Drew. I was 10 years old, and I knew that was some you-know-what. It was a load of you-know-what back to have that one-game playoff against U of L at Vandy after the Tigers had swept the season series.
That makes absolutely no sense.
I'm 10 years old, and I still didn't even know if I really knew what a double elimination tournament was, but I knew that was some hooey.
Yeah, that was some hooey. With the Houston moving of the game, it's bad luck. It's unfortunate. It's bad that you don't get that last home game, but the AC did say that if a team missed a game due to COVID issues, that it would replace due to the other team having COVID issues. They missed the home game.
But you had to try.
Exactly.
I mean, the spirit of it was an attempt at it.
Yeah. They could have gone against that and just said, no, we've already got the game scheduled for CBS. It's going to be in Memphis. I'm sorry.
Well, great point about that. I mean, CBS owned the fly, and big, large company. They can, but it was supposed to be here. It was supposed to be the you as a great fan didn't even get to say goodbye to this team.
No.
And that kind of highlights what this year has been like. And it will be documented just on the sports front. Never mind all the other stuff. It's going to be a lot of that, and it should be. But just on the sports front, the impact that it had, what we fear with maybe in attendance, the long-term impact it's going to have.
It will be interesting to see how well everything is documented, in the future of we're going to get many 30 for 30s type of documentaries out of this. I mean, we're 9 days away from the anniversary of Rudy Gobert night where everything absolutely changed. The world stopped rotating.
One of the biggest days of our lives.
I think March 11, 2020 is going to be a day that everyone will remember. They'll remember exactly where they were when the news about Rudy Gobert and the NBA closing down. I was out. I was at Huey's with two of my best friends, and we're sitting there having a few drinks, no mask, sharing some laughs. We're honestly, I'm going to be truthful about this. We're kind of making fun of the whole situation, thinking there's no way.
I know what you told him. You said, my friend Brett at the radio station said that when it gets summertime and it gets warm, we have nothing to worry about.
It was somewhere along those lines. I mean, just laughing about
this same clown that said that said that Jared Goff was going to be Joe Montana.
Exactly. We crack on your expense all the time.
Thank you, Drew.
But like I said, at Huey's having a few drinks, sharing some laughs, and then all of a sudden look to my left at the TV, and breaking news across ESPN, Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19. Jazz game, I believe they were against the Rockets.
I thought Oklahoma City, but close enough.
Okay, it might have been OKC. It has been canceled.
Remember Mark Cuban's reaction of reading his text from the commissioner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember that, and that was kind of like everybody. It was all WT something. You whatever letter you want to put in on at the end of WT, it was that. In a way, it was a quick year. In a way, it was 10 years.
Exactly. It feels weird that we're already back to almost the year anniversary of it, but during those months, especially May, June, beginning of July, before we got everything somewhat back, April. I mean, Brett, there were days where my Saturday highlight was watching the Cornhole League. I mean, that's how low I was getting for any type of live sporting event that I could watch, and it just felt so long.
You know what I did to fill weekends? I don't know that I talked about it at the time. I think I did, but because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I spent my times on Saturday and some Sundays down at Temper Trust at the golf course with John going. First team Marshall wanted to get outside, wanted something to do.
You were the starter one time when I played.
Wanted to be somewhere at a certain time on the weekend instead of just sitting on my rear end at home.
Yeah, and that's what it's all been, and that's why I'm really glad that I'm back at work today, because I can finally get back into my normal routine and have a purpose in the society to be here and have a reason to get out of bed.
No sweat about the outcome tonight, right?
I'd like to say yes.
Tell me what a turnover number's got to be for you to start sweating, even though I think you're already sweating without the turnover number established.
Anywhere north of 15, I get to start sweating. And the Tigers were at 4.
Tigers can turn it over 15 times in the pregame layup line.
I'll raise the number because of how much they do turn the ball over and still somehow manage to win games. I'll say they get to 19-20. I'm getting extremely nervous.
Mine's 25.
25. That's a lot of leeway.
Yeah, that is. That's a lot of turnovers too. Man, you gotta
try.
You got to come down and just look up and throw the ball the other direction to turn it over that many times. But South Florida limping to the end. We'll see in the next week if I'm right about some teams with a miracle cure.
Yeah, we will be talking about it just because it's going to be weird if we've had all these shutdowns and then somehow we get to tournament time and everything's hunky-dory. That's just going to be really weird.
Dave makes a great, correct point about once they get to Indianapolis. I don't dispute that at all. And that is accurate and right on. My quibble is this week and next. How can Texas A&M and SMU, two teams not that far apart, old Southwest Conference mates together, how have they had all these struggles, but yet they get to Fort Worth and Nashville and everything's fine?
And neither team's played in practically a month, but the state's going to reopen everything and the mask mandate's going to go down. So if it's a problem for sports, then it should be a problem for the rest of society and vice versa. You're telling me that somebody's not going to be –
problem, you shouldn't know when the calendar is either.
Exactly. I mean, you're telling me there's not going to be one person that feels fine like I did that's asymptomatic and they get into that bubble in Indianapolis and aren't going to test positive. There's going to be a case or two. It's just like we dealt with the NBA bubble in Orlando. Everybody wasn't 100%. There were still people testing positive and having to go in quarantine when everybody arrived. Luckily, the NBA had plenty of time to stretch things out if they needed to. In Indianapolis, the NCAA, they don't have time. You can't push it back. That final game of the season has to be that first Monday of April.
And next year in college football, if we get some traction and go on to a more normal year, or in the future in college football, we don't test for the flu, and the flu hits college football teams and college basketball teams. But next year we'll see if some teams still try to use some of the COVID protocol and COVID numbers on testing and on cases to maybe avoid a game that week when star quarterback or star player can't go.
It'll be interesting to see if it happens. If it does happen, that's some shady stuff. I mean, that's a really bad look. I mean, if you're with all that every one of us has gone through this last year, for them to and for how many people just passed away. I mean, just the number of it is so shocking. How many people died from this virus? If you use it to get out of a game because you want to make sure your quarterback's healthy, or
it's really stolen honor.
It's a very crappy move, and I think if you do that, you should lose your job as a head coach.
I said last year, I've seen college football rosters go below those thresholds that we were working around last year from sickness, from injury. I've seen at the end of the year some starting quarterbacks that didn't have any business running out there. I've seen it early in the year. Billy Bearfield. And the Tigers won. Tigers won with that. We've seen those kind of extraordinary circumstances. Getting down to the 5-minute mark in a great game in the Big 12. West Virginia leads Baylor by 2 at West Virginia. West Virginia on the line, up 2 with 5 minutes to go. Baylor having a tough time getting restarted. Not a tough time tonight. You get ready for the Tigers game, hit Jason's Deli. Any of these locations, Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch and Cordova, do it right now. Call or order ahead, do it online at jasonsdeli.com. All the terrific food, all the salads, the Mesa chicken salad, the taco salad, the nutty mixed up salad, all the soups, the Southwest chicken chili, the spicy seafood gumbo, the tomato basil, and my favorite, the regular chili. That's no beans, Texas style chili. All the meats, all the breads, all the spreads, all the great food at Jason's Deli. They like to say wholesome food forever. It's a family thing, and it for sure is at Jason's Deli. Dine in, to go, delivery, all about choice, plenty of organic food to choose from, catering anytime, anywhere, and getting ready to start back in that as soon as the regulations subside a little bit. The great salad bar, over 30 items just on the salad bar, and in the locations on Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch and Cordova. Wrap it up with the complimentary ice cream at Jason's Deli. Check them out online at jasonsdeli.com. When we come back, we wrap up this Tuesday afternoon with Taco Bell Crunch Time. That's next on Sports Time.
Basketball has met its match. It's Sports 56 Mornings with your assist kings, Pete and Sane. Bringing you the best alley-oops of informative sports talk. Great guests, calls and texts, prize giveaways, and more.
You ever lie awake at night, can't sleep, not wanting to see what time it is because that's just going to keep you up? Tonight, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night. Unlike other sleep aids, our extended-release melatonin helps you fall asleep naturally and then slowly releases so you stay asleep longer through the night. It's not habit forming with no next day grogginess. ZzzQuil Pure Z's all night, so you can fall asleep and stay asleep. Available at retailers near you.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the Alley since 1948.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brett Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, did we hit?
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
Boop! Choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
On 1, on 2, on 3. Take.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Pure D Classic at West Virginia, between West Virginia and Baylor. Down the stretch, they come in a really close game. Keep an eye on that. But learn today, Drew, that the Tigers, they're hanging in there in bracketology. We tried to thread the needle. It's not extreme, but we know how everything has to really break their way. It means everyone in front of them that they have to lose. And, of course, the Tigers, they have to win out at least until Sunday of the AAC tournament. Doesn't help having SMU in the group, but I think SMU's 11-4 in no more games. I think that's played them out. What'd you learn today?
What I learned today, kind of going to do a recall back to an old segment we used to do, big number of the day. I just think this is too good of a thing to not mention. Today is the 59th anniversary of Wilt Chamberlain's 100th point game. So my
Hershey,
big number
PA.
of the day would have been 100.
100. Soon to return. Big number of the day. Soon to return. 100 for Wilt to steal. Again, I'm there on Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. But if you average 50 over the season against air, you've done something really, really well. And Wilt Chamberlain, he did. That box score, go look at that box score. Al Attles, I think, had 16 points in that game, 4 of 4 from the field and 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Nobody remembers that, Al, except for maybe me. Could have done without. This soccer guy that keeps going at LeBron, he spoke at his Italian music festival, and he really hit on LeBron again. Won't let it die. Be careful with all the American soccer fans that seem to exalt all those guys over there that kick the ball around. And then this quote, as he said about LeBron, He says in his sport, what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch. That's what I've lived by, Drew. I've tried to live by that all my life.
Oh, always. What happens on the pitch stays on the pitch. That's exactly how you should live your life. Just this coming across what I could have done without today. Lakers center Marcus Saul has been ruled out against the Phoenix Suns tonight because of the NBA's health and safety protocol. Doesn't look very good for Marcus Saul. Probably dealing with some either COVID issues himself or contact tracing. Really hope he is okay.
Yeah, that for sure. And it's really hit the Toronto Raptors, the Tampa Raptors hard. You know, last year I called the Blue Jays the Buffalo Blue Jays. This year they're going to be the Dunedin Blue Jays. They're going to play all year at Dunedin, Florida. Over the weekend, I thought of you a bunch with your illness, that you weren't ill, but I thought about you. But also, good moment for your O's with Boo Boom Mancini's first at bat back.
Oh, great
He
moment.
has fought through it.
Great moment. Singled his first at bat back in spring training for the Orioles. Great. Very classy by not just the O's, but for Pittsburgh, the Pirates for giving him that moment to standing ovation. The players themselves all applauding on the field and in the dugout. Just one of those moments that really makes sports what it is. That it is bigger than just a box score and a number on a scoreboard.
Some great Pirate-Orioles World Series in my life, Drew. I promise you. In the 70s, that was a lot of. Al Addles had 24 in that game. Thank you, brother John Varlas. 24 in that game. He had 8 of 8 from the field and 8 of 8 from the line.
Good for him.
He doubled what I was. Way to go, John Varlas. Thank you, man. Love you and your work so much. Drew, what do you keep an eye on tonight?
I'm going to keep an eye on all things local. Mentioned Tigers at South Florida at 8 o'clock. Grizzlies in Washington. That one's about to tip off here in the next 4 minutes. And, of course, Preds on the ice at home in Smashville.
Drop the puck tonight in Smashville. I'm going to keep a close eye tonight on not the hockey. I'm going to let Drew do that. Tigers and Grizzlies going for the Hoop City Quinella tonight. Tigers can't lose. We all know that. We know what will happen if they do lose tonight. I don't think that will happen. I think they win. I think they win pretty big, comfortably over the 9.5. Grizzlies shouldn't lose. No dominant team they're playing tonight in our nation's capital. Ole Miss in Kentucky and Oxford. Ole Miss a 3-point favorite. This is the year to beat Kentucky. Everyone has. Ole Miss, you need to join the fun. Iron Bowl on the hardwoods tonight in Tuscaloosa, in T-Town. I think the result will be about like the result in the football game. Sharif Cooper back for Auburn. He does give them a lift. But as the year's gone on, even with what he gave Auburn, he's gotten smaller and smaller. And he's what Mark Wise doesn't like in small guards. Arkansas and South Carolina, they tipped about 26 minutes ago. The last time I looked at it, it was tied, just like Baylor and West Virginia are tied 74-74 with 2 minutes to play. We're going to have buzzer beaters and classics over this next month. We're having one right now between West Virginia and Baylor. Want to thank Ron Tillery, but Ron Tillery, we couldn't catch up with him today. We'll catch up with him next week. And we want to thank Brent Beard, who's with us every week. Bo Marchant with us tomorrow. We've got our whole Wednesday cast. Look forward to that, including TJ Reeves and others, and Mike DeCourcy, as we mentioned. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. Everybody have a safe night. Enjoy the basketball tonight. A lot to keep up with from now until about bedtime. Talk to you tomorrow at 3.
One of the things I love about